And now, for the most famous words in motorsports, please welcome today's Grand Marshal and a member of the MBNA. And now, for the most famous words in motorsports, please welcome today's Grand Marshal and a member of the MBNA International Board of Directors, Dr. Michael Cawley.
On behalf of the people of MBNA America, I'd like to welcome the fans and the competitors to Atlanta Motor Speedway. Ladies and gentlemen, start your engines!
Engines and hearts are racing as this is NASCAR's fastest unrestricted speedway. Let's go down to the starting grid and our NASCAR on Fox pit crew. Beginning with the editor of Speedway Illustrated, Dick Berggren.
Thanks, Mike. Today will be the toughest test of NASCAR's new one-engine rule. Teams have to now use the same engine for practice, qualifying, and the race. And this is the very first time that rule has been in place for a 500-mile race. So far, teams have already put 100 miles on the engines. Will they go the next 500 without failing? We'll see. To Matt Yoakum.
Dick, last fall, Dale Earnhardt Jr. had the car to beat at Atlanta. He led 171 laps, but on his last set of tires, the car became way too tight. So Saturday in the final practice session, he and the Bud guys purposely started out on the tight side to work the car back to neutral, then loose, then bad loose, knowing what they would need to do today for that final stretch run to the finish, hoping to pick up their first win here at Atlanta. To Jeannie Zelasco.
Well, Matt, we may have a veteran on the pole, but check out 3 of the top 4 guys are the new kids on the blocks, and they have left their teammates, the veterans, in the dust. Rusty Wallace has tried to use the setup that Ryan Newman has had for the past 2 weeks, but it didn't work for him. You can understand why he tried, but now he's had to use back-to-back provisionals. Rusty said, hey, I'm going back to what works for me, and he will have his work cut out for him starting 38th. To Totally NASCAR, Steve Burns.
Well, Jeannie, last year here, Dave Blaney led 70 laps in the 93 car and appeared on his way to a win before a mechanical problem sidelined him. He's with a different team, the 77 car. This morning, I asked crew chief Brian Pemberton, what's the biggest adjustment you've made to this race car? He pointed at the driver, Dave Blaney. Mike Joy.
Thanks, Steve. Here's a look at the Winston Cup point standings coming into Atlanta. Sterling Marlin with a 75-point bulge over rookie Ryan Newman. Jeff Burton having a much stronger start than a year ago, as is his Roush teammate Mark Martin. And then Daytona 500 winner Ward Burton. We'll be back for the start of Winston Cup racing, presented by Home Depot on Fox, and only on Fox. The cars roll off for the first of their pace laps. You see it's a little chilly there. The officials in gloves and jackets on pit road. The Bud Pole Award. Budweiser, official beer of NASCAR, is the proud sponsor of this award, given to the fastest qualifier at each NASCAR Winston Cup race. Bill Elliott is our pole winner here at Atlanta. Since 1979, Anheuser-Busch has awarded more than $7 million as title sponsor of NASCAR's Pole Award program. There's a look at Elliott's number 9 Dodge, and they said the phones rang off the wall at the ticket office when the hometown hero won the pole here on Friday. Hi everyone, Mike Joy with 3-time national champ Darrell Waltrip and Larry McReynolds. And Larry, it's a day that's very different from what we saw here for practice and qualifying.
Well, I mean, what I found this morning in the garage is not very many teams were very happy with the way their cars were in practice yesterday. But what happened yesterday, you throw it out the window, because today the sun's out. It's about 20 degrees cooler, and if that's not enough problem, it rained last night. All the rubber's off the racetrack, so a lot of adjustments being made this morning in the garage area.
Now, a lot of worried crew chiefs, as you can hear right here, Darrell. Now, how does the driver adapt to a green racetrack on race day?
Well, this track has lost a lot of grip over the last few years, and so the drivers are worried about the tires. How long can I go before my car starts slipping and sliding around? And they're going to slip and slide around right up next to that outside retaining wall. And then you got to worry about, Richard Petty always told me, I said, Richard, why you ride so close to that wall? He said, well, if I hit it, I don't hit it so hard. And I thought about that. I said, yeah, but don't you hit it a lot? So that's what they got to worry about.
All right, let's have a look at our Walmart starting grid for today's race. Bill Elliott is on the pole, and a bunch of young guns are right up there with him. You'll note that of the top 4 starters, 3 of those drivers have teammates who had to take provisionals for today's race. And that includes Bill Elliott. Ryan Newman, Kurt Busch. And there's Earnhardt, the first Chevy qualified fourth there. As you have a look back through the way they will line up today.
Well, let me see if I can raise one of my buddies back there in the back in the 38 starting position. Rusty Wallace, this is DW up in the TV booth. How you read, bud?
DW, got you loud and clear, buddy.
Hey, bud, you got that old heap tuned up, ready to go to the front?
Yeah, I believe so. I just had a driver here qualifying, so I got to pay for it today. Got a pretty good car here. It's one of my favorite cars. Hope we get it tuned up right.
What are you worried about today, Rusty? What are you worried about today? Tires, track, weather? What's your big concern?
Concern right now is, Daryl, usually this racetrack's real loose at the start of the race. I think it'll probably be real loose, and then as the track cooler, as the sun goes down halfway through the race, it's going to get real tight. So we're just going to make sure that we can manage the first part of the race and get her turning real good later on.
All right, you the man. Get up on the wheel and hang on to her, bud, and we'll watch you from up here. Good luck.
Have a good day.
Here are those provisional drivers we spoke of. Look at the veterans back there. Rusty Wallace, Ricky Rudd, Jeremy Mayfield, Mark Martin, all relegated to take provisional starting spots, as were Brett Bodine and Casey Atwood, and Dick Trickle in the Dave Marcus car.
And two cars that will have to go to the rear of the field because changing engines after qualifying, Matt Kenson, he'll give up 10 spots qualifying 32nd. They actually had a problem with their engine during qualifying, and Dave Marcus's car with Dick Trickle, he actually won't have to go to the rear of the field because he was already 43rd. They changed engines after qualifying.
Carl Long and Ron Hornaday failed to make the 43-car field for today's race. They'll take one more lap, and we'll be at it for 500 miles. 325 laps will make up the race distance. And the pit window here, just about 100 miles?
60, 65 laps. But again, that's a fuel window, but these guys, they'll be wanting tires as well at that amount of laps.
Here's the key to today's race. Well, 500 miles. That's the thing. We've been 400 miles at Vegas, been 400 miles at Rockingham. We ran restricted at Daytona. Today, big toll on engines. Last year, 8 engines were lost in this race alone with people putting in fresh ones. So that's what I'm watching today, watching the engine durability.
And that's the big difference. These teams have had to use the same engine from qualifying all through the race, and some of these teams turned a lot of practice laps yesterday.
But guys, here's what I'm going to be watching. Look at this air temperature right here, 48 degrees. That's over 20 degrees cooler than it was on Friday and about 10 or 15 degrees cooler than it was yesterday. And look at this wind right here, 17 miles an hour, blowing straight toward turn 4. These cars want to push, don't turn off turn 4. It's going to make that even worse.
Now, wait a minute. You told me it's nice and cool today. I'm going to take that old air conditioner and that cool box and all that junk out of the car. You won't need it today. We're going to tape up all them little NACA ducts because it's cool, and we're going to run faster.
Oh, we're definitely going to run faster, Steve Burns.
Well, there you guys been talking about motors. Harold Pinnell, the motor tuner on the 12 car of Ryan Newman, says the other thing to worry about is the carburetors. Are they adjusted right? You can't be too lean. You have to have the proper air to fuel ratio. And this weather change, the colder temperature could be a factor.
Yeah, and see, the thing is, folks, is because it's cooler, you don't lean it down. Cooler, you richen it up. You got good air, you got to have more fuel. There goes your fuel mileage, and there is some concern about, did I get it rich enough?
And normally about every 10 degrees of temperature change is one jet change in the carburetor. A lot of guys was waiting to the last minute to put their cars on the line to see what this weather was going to do. And guys, what are we going to do here? Pull them belts tight. Let's go racing.
Here we come. We're going to come down here. We're waiting on that flagman. We're going to wait. We're going to wait. Go, go, go. The green is out. And folks, we're going to boogity, boogity, boogity on into that first turn and watch them go.
Bill Elliott's car really jumped sideways as he came up through the gears, but he's fending off Ryan Newman off it too.
One of the reasons for that, the top 10 qualifiers, they get their tires confiscated. They haven't been run on since they qualified.
Well, it shoves it in there.
Yes, he does.
Bill knows if I'm going to lead, it's got to be now because he doesn't want to get back in all that traffic.
Who will lead the first lap? Here they come. Newman on the outside. It's Newman.
Darrell had to be a little bit nervous about that second groove because the rubber's been washed off like we talked about, but some of those cars are going right there to it.
It's very fast up there. They did do some practicing up here, but a lot of that dust, you see dust flying up, little rooster tails behind some of the cars. They go off the corner.
Look at the run Dale Earnhardt Jr. in that Budweiser car got off turn 2. He's going to take the second spot away from Bill Elliott.
Ricky Craven and Kurt Busch right with them side by side for fourth.
I'll have to agree with Hammond. I believe today is going to be Junior's day. I think this is a track where he really runs well, and I think he's going to have a great day.
I told you, Daryl. I talked to the guys earlier.
I told you, Daryl. How many times have I heard that?
And he feels like he's got his head screwed on right today, and the car's working really well.
But guys, he just had his hands full in turn 2. Bill Elliott got a run off that turn 2. He's going to take the position back away in 3 and 4.
Well, as you heard Rusty say, the track's going to be a little loose here for a while. And what you really, really try to do is stay on the lead lap until the first caution.
Dale Jarrett on the move, looking underneath Ricky Craven, who climbs the hill down in turn 1. This is for 6th place.
It always seemed like if you could stay on the lead lap in those early cautions, hey, look at that racing going on there, folks. 3 wide off in that turn, about 200 mile an hour.
And it's Sterling Marlin who prevails in that group. You're riding with Tony Stewart.
You can enter these corners 2 wide. 3 wide, that's a little much.
Yeah, something's got to give. Or else something's going to give.
Or something's going to break.
That's my favorite thing. 2 wide, 3 wide, 3 wide. You okay? Caution's out. You okay?
Yeah. Riding with Johnny Benson. Looking ahead there at Jimmy Johnson. He's got a car inside, which was...
Benson's got his hands full. He's slip sliding. He's up there in that top groove trying to get out of the way. About lost it going in 3 there a while ago.
He lost about 5 positions on that lap alone.
She's a little jukey on him right now.
Benson back to 17th place. He started 10th. Robbie Gordon behind Jerry Nadeau. Two fellows who expect to figure into this when things get going. And this battle for 9th place.
Now, folks, you got, if you're at the back of the field, you have got to go. You got to go. You can't wait, because if you wait very long, you'll get lapped. This place is so fast, particularly when you're up front. Clean air makes a huge difference. You'll come around and get lapped in a hurry.
We just saw Tony Stewart define loose coming off that last corner.
Well, just to back up what you're saying, Ryan Newman's out there leading at a 30-36. These guys back here, Tony Stewart, Sterling Marlin, they're running 30-60s, 30-80s. That's a half a second a lap.
Yes, sir. And it doesn't take long for that to show up.
Saw that black car of Kurt Busch flash past. He's in 3rd place.
But right now is the worst time. This is the worst part of the race for most drivers. Low air in the tires, track's dirty, no rubber down, rain last night. Buddy, you got to hang on to that bad boy until we get in here and work on it.
Tony Stewart, having taken it to Jimmy Spencer, now goes after Jarrett, and that's 7th place.
And I will say, if there was one car that seemed like they were happy in the garage this morning, a lot of competitors pointing to them, Tony Stewart in that 20 car.
Imagine that.
Ryan Newman has led every one of the 8 laps so far. He's opened up a 1-second lead on Bill Elliott in Atlanta. This is NASCAR on Fox. Welcome back to Atlanta, where youth and exuberance just past old age and treachery. Kurt Busch just put it on to Bill Elliott. That's for 2nd place.
I guarantee you one thing, all those young boys will be up in front before the day is over with.
4 of the top 5 drivers right now under the age of 30. You want your onboard cameras? We've got your onboard cameras. There's 9 of the 10. Can you guess who's missing? Tony Stewart, the Home Depot cam on board. Now, I couldn't believe this, but Tony has a passenger. Matt, what is that about?
Well, Mike, Tony Stewart trying to change some luck here recently in Atlanta. He scored his best career finish last fall here with a 9th. But last fall, he needed some luck, and he found this little hula dancer. If you recall back in the movie Space Cowboys, which is one of Tony's favorites, James Garner put that on the dash of the space shuttle in the movie for some good luck on landing. Well, Tony felt like he needed some good luck here at Atlanta, so pilot Bob Burris brought it out of the airplane, gave it to Tony, and the guys put it in the back seat of the Home Depot Pontiac this afternoon, hoping to pick up their first win here in Atlanta and bring some good luck. This is their home track for Home Depot.
I'll tell you what I'm worried about. I don't believe that guy can last 500 miles bopping around like that.
I believe we got a battlefield lead, though, guys. I looked at the monitor last time. Kurt Busch in that 97 car, he was 3/10 of a quick lap faster than Ryan Newman leading this race. He's running down to the inside into turn 3.
Inside, clear.
Put a 6 on the side of that 97 car, and that looked familiar to me.
Well, his crew Jimmy Fennig and all came over from the 6 team last year, so they know how to build a car to get around this track.
It's got that look to it. It's got that right around the bottom at Atlanta, right around the bottom of Rockingham look to it.
I talked to Jimmy Finney, the crew chief, this morning. He said, Larry, we want to make some adjustments. We were pretty good yesterday, but we just wanted to make a few adjustments. He said, because we wasn't good enough to win the race.
Wow.
We needed to be better.
It's pretty good right now. Let's go to 4th place. Make that 5th place where Tony Stewart, Dale Earnhardt Jr. are at it.
Tony Stewart's doing exactly what he did at Las Vegas, just picking them one at a time.
5th place, 2.3 seconds behind the leader.
They're going to put up a real big fight right now. It's better to follow right now. Somebody's faster than you are. Try to see where they're beating you and fall in there and watch them and see if you can duplicate what they're doing. Right now, you're collecting information. Basically, you're talking to yourself, you're talking to your crew chief, you're talking to your car. Believe it or not, we always talk to our car, and we're giving all that information back to the crew so they can help us.
Larry's pick, a fellow who came so close here last fall, Jerry Nadeau, started 26th. There is Nadeau up to 14th. Right on the bumper of Elliott Sadler.
He is on the move, and that's right where he runs around this racetrack, right around the bottom. I talked to Tony Furr this morning. They were fast yesterday. They were a little concerned about their car, but he felt like these cooler temperatures and the sun was going to fall right in their play, just the setup they had under the car based on how the car performed in November.
Look at that. He's almost out of the picture. He's so low.
Tony Stewart again, this time after Kevin Harvick.
Well, one thing about Stewart's line, it's not real crowded down there where he is.
Everybody's moving up here by the time we get to lap 20.
And, you know, it always reminds me of what Junior used to him. I said, Junior, I just can't get my car to work right here at Atlanta. I always kind of run up next to the wall. Boy, that car don't have no idea where it is.
Well, good point. Tony Stewart closing in on Kurt Busch, Ryan Newman, and Bill Elliott.
That was back in a period of time when I was collecting data. I was getting most of it back from Junior.
Just look how much he pulls away right there in the middle of the corner, running around the bottom of the racetrack. I mean, his car has good bite down there. He's able to turn that car, stay in that throttle, and stay in it all the way off the corner.
Hey, we got our stuff working, Larry. Look. I like this deal here.
Coming off turn 4 right here.
A lot of the drivers said they wish they could get this up on their dash panel. They tell them how far behind they are, how fast they're going. Now, I personally would never want to know how fast that's going because 200 mile an hour is a little edgy.
You see right there, Stewart had some traffic to contend with. Harvick picked up a little bit on him, 3 miles an hour faster at our trap going into turn 1. But 191 miles an hour on a 1.5 mile racetrack.
Somebody asked Stevie one time, said, Stevie, that's my wife, said, did you get nervous when your husband's out there doing 200 mile an hour? She said, I don't know, he ain't never gone that fast.
Oh. 1 to 2 laps complete. Kurt Busch, 0.6 of a second in the lead over Ryan Newman. Then pole sitter Bill Elliott, Tony Stewart, and Kevin Harvick are the front 5. 22 laps complete. You're watching NASCAR Winston Cup Racing, presented by Home Depot on Fox. 26 laps complete. Here comes Tony Stewart, hard after Ryan Newman for second.
He ran up on me off 2 over there, just about run over him.
And he's like in a zone of his own right now. I mean, he's been running 31.30s. The competitors, the best competitors have been Kurt Busch at a 31.60.
Right behind them, you see Elliott and Craven, Earnhardt Jr., and Marlin, all of whom closed up as Stewart and Newman battled briefly side by side.
But we saw Tony last week just dominate the race with a great car, run right around the inside of the racetrack when others couldn't. He's right back at it again today, and I say old Dr. Who's tuned him up on a good shock package.
The interval on Tony Stewart versus Kurt Busch, the leader, right there coming off 2. Interval staying about the same down the backstretch. Gained quite a bit there on the backstretch going into turn 3.
Probably got just a little bit of draft. Where's a heck of a race behind these guys? There's a big wad of them back here.
Third. Yeah, Newman's backed up into the clutches of Bill Elliott and Ricky Craven and Earnhardt Jr.
And not too far behind them comes Spencer, Jared, and my brother Michael's having a great run here, Larry.
And looking at the 32 car, Ricky Craven, I know Mike Beam has to be smiling. It's still early because I talked to him this morning. He said, Larry, we are junk. They were changing everything on that race car. And he said, Larry, it's the same car, same setup we had in November, but Goodyear changed the left side tire here for this race. They was wearing left front tires out in November, made a slight change on that tire, and he said, Larry, we have not been able to find what Ricky's looking for.
Now, Larry, let me ask you something, old crew chief buddy. What's the best time to fix your car? After you've been down there in the garage for a couple of days, what do?
I always like seeing what everybody else is doing and going back to that motor coach and putting notes all over it and making changes race morning.
You talk to enough people that are running good, you might hit upon something.
Let's have a look at how hard they're twisting these engines here in Atlanta.
And you'll see a little bit less RPMs down the backstretch into turn 3 because it's a little shorter. You don't get quite the run off turn 2 that you'll get off turn 4.
I don't think we're going to see that 9,000 like we saw last week.
It's coming down turn 4. Just a little bit more than the backstretch, about 88, 8,900 there.
Low, he's got a nose inside.
But the thing that's impressive about the low RPMs,
all clear.
That's Ty Norris right there, his spotter. It only goes to 7,000 in the middle of the corner. That's halfway through a run, Darrell.
And that's where you really have to, the engine builders have to really work hard on the engine combination for this racetrack. You don't need a lot of low-end torque, but you do need a lot of upstairs power.
Newman coming back after Kevin Harvick. That's now 6th place.
Newman had been running the bottom. We're about halfway through this run. His car started going back. Now he's moved up to the top, searching around for where his car wants to be right now.
And that's where the spotter will talk to a rookie driver like Ryan and say, Ryan, you might want to try that upper groove. You might want to move up a little bit, and all of a sudden you'll pick back up.
How much of that, Darrell, is driver feel, and how much of it is stopwatch?
Well, in your mind, you want to run the bottom because that's the shortest way. That's where you've been running the whole time. And it's a little different feel when you move that thing up around the top. I mean, you sail off in that corner, that wall's right there. And you got to kind of get just your driving style for that high line.
For more, Steve Burns.
Well, guys, we just heard Ryan Newman tell Matt Borland, his crew chief, that his car has gotten very free. That's why he's running the high side. Now, Kurt Busch is actually experiencing a little bit of the same thing in the 97, just not quite as bad. They're going to make an air pressure adjustment when they do pit. But the 97 says he's getting off turn 2 pretty good. What about it, Matt Yoakum?
Well, Steve, Johnny Benson started the 10 car in the 10th position, but he has quickly faded all the way back to 33rd. He came on the radio about 15 laps ago and told his crew chief James Ince, he says, the car is as loose as it's ever been all weekend on entry and as tight as it's ever been all weekend up off the corner. I spoke to Ince this morning. They had 2 different packages they were looking at. One really good on a short one and one really good on a long run. So I asked him, which way did you flip the coin? He says the coin bounced off the table. We went with a third option, and it's not very good. To Dick.
Well, Bill Elliott, who started on the pole, is having a little bit of a problem coming off the corners. It's just a tad tight. That is a comment that we will hear frequently today at Atlanta. As the race wears on, an increasing number of cars are expected to tighten up. That's Elliott's problem at the moment.
Many of NASCAR's mile-and-a-half tracks are very similar in radius and in banking. This one is really different, though. The steeper banking here at Atlanta, faster speeds, and a whole different approach to this racetrack than, say, Charlotte, Texas, or there's a long list of them.
Yeah, and plus you lose grip. And so, like I said, when all of a sudden you're driving that thing in there and you're going to go up to the wall, is it going to turn? Because if it doesn't, it'll hit the wall.
Right.
Or is it going to back end going to hop out like it was when I ran low? If it does, it's going to hit the wall. So that's the thing that the driver has to deal with.
Jerry Nadeau marching to the front, battling for 8th.
Before the day's over with, we'll have black lines all around the inside of turn 3.
I just couldn't help you. Michael Waltrip was all the way against the wall. Jerry Nadeau was down there on the apron, yet they're running around the same corner.
And pretty much the same speed.
At the same speed.
In the center of the corner, you'll go equal with the guy on the outside. But coming off the corner, the guy on the outside will have a good head of steam. He usually can beat you. What you got to do is be able to put a slide job on him. Guy on the inside, slide up in front of him. Michael has come from a long way back. He's chased these cats down. It's up to 8th place.
Here's another guy that's came from a long way back, Tony Stewart in that 20 car. He's run our leader, Kurt Busch, down, and he's about a 10th of a lap quicker than Kurt Busch. out into turn one. You see the Fox tracks here. Tony Stewart moving up just a little bit. 2 or 3 miles an hour faster right there, just past the center of the corner. Coming down the backstretch, they're pretty even. Tony, you saw he drove it in a lot deeper. His miles per hour was about 2 or 3 miles an hour higher.
Well, you can drive it in high like that and you really get a run.
And look at there in the middle of the corner, 163 to 154. That's a big difference. That's the reason he's fixing to take the lead.
Yeah, you got to back off a little early to stay low. Guy on the outside can just carry it on in there. Now, good thing about Tony's car, where was he earlier? On the bottom, where is he now? On the top, he can go anywhere he wants to.
That's what it takes to win the race here.
Tony Stewart becomes the race's 3rd different leader after Ryan Newman and Kurt Busch.
Live in Atlanta, Tony Stewart leading. Remember, he led the most laps at Las Vegas last week, but wound up 5th. You saw Earnhardt Jr. there. He led the most laps in Atlanta last November, but wound up 7th. Bill Elliott, we mentioned on the pole, hanging around from Dawsonville, Georgia. The population there, only about 500. More than half of them are part of this 110,000 gathering crowd. As you see, Tony Stewart has led 8 of the 46 laps. Jeff Hammond. And let's talk about back of the pack. What about Rusty Wallace and the move he's making?
Yeah, he really has, Chris. Starting 37th position, he's already worked his way up to 24th. He understands, just like Darrell and Larry and all the guys we talking about in the booth, you've got to get after it early. Otherwise, they'll come back around and lap you before you know it. Looks like he's got a pretty good car. You've got to take care of your tires here. And we're getting closer to a pit stop.
Now let's take a look at the lead here.
Yeah, you see right there Tony Stewart, and all of a sudden young gun Kurt Busch, who I happen to like a whole lot.
You've worked with him, and you talked about how he doesn't seem to concern himself with this track or the speeds here. He's comfortable.
Has no fear of this racetrack. I'm telling you right now, he's got a good working car, which he seems to have today.
Hey, Jeff, Jeff, you like him so much, how come you didn't pick him?
I don't think he is at that point to win yet, my friend. That's one thing I told him. I think he needs a little bit more with Jimmy Finnick. Next week could be the week.
All right, and remember, Kurt Busch, he failed to qualify here in November, but looking good right now, chasing Tony Stewart. Let's go back upstairs.
Moments ago, how close to the edge of control are you at 190 miles an hour? Watch this.
You're trying to get 3 wide there.
Whoa. What happened to Ryan Newman in the 12th? He was already a little bit free. We heard him report that. Kevin Harvick makes that run up there behind him, even makes him looser by taking the air off of his rear spoiler.
And what happens, Larry, is you're coming through the corner, you got the wheels hard left. The front end wants to push a little bit, wide open. All of a sudden, that front end will take a little bit of a bite, and the back end will jump out.
Then somebody runs up there behind you.
Somebody right behind you, you know, forcing wasn't close enough to run over each other.
Some teams having trouble with the handling have already made green flag pit stops, including Brett Bodine, Rick Mast, Shauna Robinson, and now Dick Trickle.
Now is when you start calling in that crew chief saying, hey, you're pretty smart. You know, you said this car was going to get better the longer we run, and doing just what you said it'd do. There you go. And there's other times you call in and say, hey, thought you told me this thing was going to get better.
You know, I want to talk about a guy that had to start at the rear of the field because of that motor change. They had an intake valve failure in qualifying, had to change that motor by NASCAR rules. He had to start 42nd, and that's Matt Kenseth in the 17 car. He has worked his way in 50 laps over halfway through this field. He's all the way up to 19th position right now, running 3150s, and that's right there real close to what a lot of the cars up front are running. Yeah. This is the car, Darrell, that he won the World 600 in Charlotte Motor Speedway about a year and a half ago.
You know, and when I think about him here at this racetrack, I can't help but remember last year when he went flaming into the 3rd turn.
Yes.
With the engine blown up.
He's moving up on John Andretti, who's also had a good run.
So if I could remember that, I wonder what he's thinking.
Not right now.
Right now, his car's right around the bottom of the racetrack, a lot like Tony Stewart's running, a lot like Jerry Nadeau's running. He passes John Andretti. This is for 18th.
Now Andretti started 20th, worked his way up to 12th, and now he's climbed the hill and he's back up to 19th.
Well, and again, you know, we're getting within about a 10-lap window of a stop, and I think the rubber's getting down on the racetrack. Now, we talked about being washed off from the rain last night, and this is when these cars, with the rubber down, starts to tighten up more and more and more.
Yeah, if your car's a little free on the start of the race, then you're going to be very happy with it. But as it goes along, it's going to pick up that push. You're going to have to start making some changes.
There's a happy camper, Jimmy Johnson, just past Sterling Marlin. That is for 9th place. Johnson started this race 15th. front. Doesn't look like a rookie, Darrell, the way he approaches and the way he hangs that car out sideways.
No, he's got a good crew chief. Let's just get in here and see what we can see, what's going on.
Sterling.
Going down in the corner, he's got a nice, that's right where you want your hands. You drive by your hands in the eyes. I got my hands right where I want them. Pull down to the left a little bit, the car's perfect. Comes up off the corner. Relax, look at his hands, how relaxed he is. He's not having to work with the car. Driving it off down through here. The car's not jumping around with him. Sometimes they'll do that when you go down into turn one. That's all about hand-eye coordination and matting that thing when you got your hands in that perfect position. He's very, very comfortable. I kind of believe I'd like to drive that car. Here comes Tony Stewart.
At 55 laps, Larry, this is a bit of a surprise.
It is a little bit early, but you know, if his car was starting to go away on him, and you know what teams really want to do, especially if their car starts pushing hard on that right front tire. The right front tire is loaded here. We'll take a look at it. Matt Yoakum.
Well, Larry, you're exactly right. Stewart reported in that near the end of this run, his car had gone to the tight side about 3/4 of the corner, so they just decided to come in now a little bit earlier than normal. Remember, though, that Jeff Gordon ran out of gas here last year in this event on lap 59, and Stewart's down and away. No adjustments, though, because they feel like the car is very good throughout most of the run.
Well, Matt, Jerry Nadeau's coming in the 25. They're going to take 1 pound out of the left rear. Jerry says he wants the car to turn better in the center. Here he comes to the attention of his crew. Again, air pressure adjustment to the 25. 1 pound out of the left rear tire for Jerry Nadeau. Left side tires coming off 25 right now. The 97 of Kurt Busch will be coming right behind him. Kurt Busch is saying that they are loose getting in and a little bit aero-tight off behind cars. They'll also make an air pressure adjustment on the 97. Kurt Busch is in. Front tire changer Andy Thurman. Mark Rett on the rear. Again, air pressure adjustment only to the 97 of Kurt Busch. Jackman Scott Riddell slams the jack under the 97. Left side tires going on. Kurt finished. Let's go to Nick Berggren.
Bill Elliott is in. They are going to do a smorgasbord of changes on this race car. They're going to change the wedge. That's the weight balance on the car. They're going to change the track bar. That's the way it rolls at the back end. And the air pressure. Meanwhile, they're putting 4 tires on it, 2 cans of gas, and Elliott's off. Come on.
Dick, the 24, Jeff Gordon's already in. Steve Letarte made a track bar adjustment for Gordon because he said his car was extremely tight above the corner.
Almost everyone has been in with this round of green flag stops.
Well, it's a good time to come in because you got a new left side tire you don't know a whole lot about, and you jetted her up this morning. You don't know how far you're going to. You got to get a reading on all that at the speed.
Hey, DW, pretty big adjustment for Ryan Newman. They went up 2 rounds on the left rear, a wedge adjustment, 1 pound up on the right front. Nick Berggren.
Dale Jarrett is in for his pit stop right now. A little bit tight on that race car. Off they go.
Oh, Earnhardt Jr. had to slam the brake on. First he had to dodge Ryan Newman exiting his pit, and then he had to cut sharply around Harvick to make his stop. Nick Berggren.
But he won't have any trouble getting out of his pit area. Bill Elliott is pitted in front of him. Elliott has already gone. Tail end of Earnhardt Jr.'s car is outside the box. That's legal. There'll be no penalty on that.
While that was all going on, Dave Blaney in the 77 car inherited the lead. Now he's on pit road. Bob Savani in 18 in for his stop.
That should about complete the cycle of pit stops. St. Bobby Hamilton. Elliott Sadler will be the last 2 to pit. Hamilton is on pit road right now.
We see Sadler do that and Bobby all the time. They stay out longer than everybody else and do that lap. Get a little bit out of sync with everybody, and that could sometimes pay off.
Sadler coming to speed. And Tony Stewart will reassume the lead as we complete this first round of green flag pit stops a little early. Started at lap 55 and ran through lap 60. So about 5 or so laps earlier than we might have expected. And we'll be back to Atlanta after this. A lot of things can change when you have green flag pit stops, and what has changed the most is the amount of Tony Stewart's lead. It was about 1.5 seconds, and now it's 6.8 seconds ahead of Kurt Busch.
What I like they did, they came to pit road early. Yeah, they took a little risk. They might get burnt by caution, but they rode pit road by themselves. They didn't have no traffic to contend with. Plus, he gets that run of a lap or 2 on those fresh tires on everybody.
That's what I always like for the crew chief to work with the people around us. Let's don't all come in at the same time. for that very reason. And some of the guys were all coming in at the same time.
And I think that's all because Tony Stewart stopped first. When the fastest car stopped first, Darrell, can you afford to stay out there on worn tires and keep losing time to him?
Well, I don't know, but a lot of those guys down there is monkey see, monkey do. If it's time for him to pit, it's time for me to pit.
All right, I want to give you an example. We saw on about lap 57 or 58, all these cars on pit road at one time. We want to show you why you can lose so much time on pit road. Let's listen.
That 88, he's going to be real close in that 88 up there. Okay, swale's doing quicker here. All right, cut low. Stop. Turn in here.
All right, just look at the time. While he's doing all that, Tony Stewart's out there running around here at 30 seconds a lap, and it just throws the time into the whole crew off when all that happens. But the group made the right call there.
Oh, yeah.
Stop. That way you avoid an accident on the pit road.
The problem Dale Jr. was having, Larry, is he couldn't see his pit. He had the 22 car, there was cars coming out, and he was on the outside of the pit lane. He couldn't even see his pit.
There are the spotters above our position atop the main grandstand.
You know, if you listen back to that, it sounded like he was just about ready to drive by his pit. Stop, turn in here.
Now look at those spotters. You think we talked about it being cold. Those guys are cold on top of that roof up there.
And how chilly is it on pit road, Jeannie?
Well, the wind kicks up, but I won't complain, and neither will Sterling Marlin right now, who's actually keeping his eyes on the prize, and that would be the 25 car of Jerry Nadeau. They like his speed, they like his line. They followed him into the pits about a lap afterwards. Sterling liking his car, just some air pressure adjustments to the four tires that he took and the track bar adjustment. You guys talking about the move of Matt Kenseth as well. 4 tires, no adjustments. Look at him now. He's last to 10. Steve Burns.
John Andretti started in the 20th position. He was complaining that the car was tight off. They made a chassis adjustment. It was wedged. They made an air pressure adjustment. But since he's gone back onto the racetrack, he went out in 12th. He's dropped 5 positions. It's to 17th. Dick Berggren.
The 4 cars that are in my immediate area all adjusted for the same symptom. Harvick, Jarrett, Earnhardt, and Elliott all tried to free their cars up, all a little bit too tight. On the other hand, Earnhardt may have a problem with his car. Before that pit stop, he radioed in that he thought he had a slight vibration. Now he's still saying, after 4 new tires, that he's got a vibration. They're talking about the possibility of increasing air pressure. It may be something more. To Matt.
Dick, while Tony Stewart continues to dominate up at the front, his teammate Bobby Labonte is back in the 20th position. Bobby's been fighting a tight condition up off turn 2. He feels like, Larry, as you touched on earlier, it could be the wind. He's tried different lines, trying to see if that helps the race car. It feels like it has stabilized somewhat. The biggest problem for Labonte, he lost some time on pit road. Apparently during his stop, when Todd Meredith took the old tire off the front, it bumped the jack handle. The jack went down. They had to jack the car back up. Their 14-second stop ended up being a 19.1.
5 seconds is a lot on pit road. And you know, Darrell, we're going to hear it all day long. And it's going to get worse as the race goes on. My car's tight. My car won't turn. Let's watch this replay right here before we talk about that, though. Coming off turn 2. And it wasn't that Kevin Harvick in the 29 necessarily moved up there on Brett Bodine in 11. This racetrack is so fast. You're in the throttle so early. It's almost the law of physics takes over. The track will take the speed you're trying to carry off.
Yeah, and that outside car will suck that inside car. And that's a piece of plastic that's blowing across the racetrack there. It's a big plastic trash bag.
13th place is at stake here. Ward Burton, who was way at the top of the track just before pit stops and losing time. Now he's on the bottom gaining time.
I would like to explain something to one of my friends that emailed me at allwalter.com. We do not go to the track bar for happy hour. That's a total confusing issue there. Happy hour is on the racetrack, the track bar is on the race car.
Does this mean we have to start calling it a Pannard Rod so nobody gets a confused with that place down on the corner?
One of those new fans that didn't quite understand what we were talking about.
Oh, geez. We'll be right back. A lot of debris on the track has put us under the first caution, and all the lead lap cars have made pit stops. There's a loose trash bag among the things out there.
That was the problem. That thing is floating around there. I guess at first I said, hey, I don't know about that, but they're right. They need to pick that up.
And what that could do, that could get on the front end of a car, and it would take all the air from going in the front end. It cools the radiator. It would cause you to overheat, and you either have to pit to take it off. So I think that was probably a pretty good move because this wind's blowing a lot of that stuff around.
The luckiest guys in town, Kyle Petty and Ricky Rudd, who got saved from going a lap down, but a number of drivers have been lapped. Here's a look at your leaders' pit stops.
Everybody coming to pit road, 4 tires.
Stewart, Busch, and Nadeau, top to bottom. And on the right side of your screen, watch the race off of pit road.
Are tires important, guys? How long ago was we were in?
About 15 to 20 laps. You better believe they're important. Not a question on that one.
Tony Stewart comes out with the lead. Earnhardt Jr. also out quick. We're under caution in Atlanta. Speedway opened in 1960. Fireball Roberts took home a little over $30,000 for the win.
Yeah, and Richard Petty's farewell race, Alan Quickie's win championship, and Jeff Gordon's Winston Cup debut. That's BG and AG. Before Gordon,
after Gordon. The 2 eras of NASCAR. The fastest track on the circuit, average full speed, 193.5 miles an hour. Taco Bell reminds you to think outside the box. Okay, surround sound fans.
Crank it up. All right.
We're going to get a restart right here. Jr. on Tony Stewart for the lead. Jr. had a good pit stop.
And Mike, that is the pit stop that will change the complexion of this race. All those green stops, they haven't got time to make a lot of adjustments. That pit stop, you had time to work on the car. That will change the race.
Plus, just 20 laps ago, you had a chance to make some adjustments, see if they're in the right direction.
Dick Berggren, what did they change on Earnhardt's car?
Well, they really didn't change a whole lot on that race car other than fire 4 tires at it. The majority of their conversation down here is about how Earnhardt gets into the pits and gets out of them. They want to make sure that he does not get blocked in by Bill Elliott, who is pitting immediately in front of him. Kenny Wallace had to come in a second time. He dropped the gas can while he was in. Kelly Kellis, a right front tire changer, went to work on the right front. They had a cross-threaded lug to Matt.
Dick, Tony Stewart has dropped a second. His great race car was only matched by his pit crew here on pit road. 13.9 seconds, no adjustments for Stewart to Jeannie.
Well, the caution came out at a good time for the 40 car. Sterling Marlin, he was asking what's going on with my tires, and when they left the pits, they could tell him what it was. A lot of debris, so he took 4 tires when he came in, but he just got a warning. You're a ½ pound less in that left front tire, so be careful out there, Steve Burns.
Well, Jerry Nadeau in the 25, very subtle adjustment to that car, a ½ pound in the left rear. They said they're just a tick loose. And the 97 of Kurt Busch, ½ pound of air in the right front. That's what they did to the 97.
Here's Busch fighting Ricky Craven for third.
And I know it's hard to believe. The fans probably saying, what in the world, a ½ pound of air? But these radial tires are so sensitive, and everybody's got everything sucked on a fine line that 1 pound of air is equal to like 20 pounds of spring rate, so a ½ pound is like 5 pounds.
And you know what else is more ridiculous? The driver can feel that.
Oh, absolutely.
That's what's ridiculous.
We've had to go to digital air gauges because we couldn't read it on a regular air gauge.
I mean, early on when you'd say, what did you do to my car? So we didn't do anything. We just let a pound of air out of the tires. And the driver's about to wreck.
Chevy, Pontiac, 2 Fords, and a Chevy. That's Nadeau in 5th. The first Dodge is Elliott, the pole sitter, in 6th. And after starting at the tail end of the field, Matt Kenseth now finds himself up in 7th place.
But his guys did their job on pit road like we've been seeing all along, especially at Rockingham a couple of weeks ago. They picked him up 3 positions on pit road alone.
Oh, by the way, that's when we had to redefine we didn't do anything.
Right.
Oh, a little something.
Yeah. Rest of the top 10 is Marlin, rookies Jimmy Johnson and Ryan Newman. A couple of those cars that got caught a lap down in that long run of green flag racing. Jeff Burton, Joe Nemechek, all got caught a lap back. Bobby Hamilton, Jeremy Mayfield, Johnny Benson.
And you know the thing about Jeff Burton, I talked to Frankie Stoddard this morning, his crew chief, a lot like Mike Beam, Ricky Craven's crew chief. He said, Larry, we're junk. And they did that tire test for Goodyear here about 2 months ago that I talked about, where Goodyear came here to try to develop that new left side tire. They left here happy from the test. They weren't very happy this morning. They're not very happy right now.
Well, you know, what generally happens is you just say put it back like it was. You know, wherever you started off, that's when I can't tell how many times I've said the car was the best when we unloaded it. Put it back like it was.
Burton right in front of Jimmy Johnson, kind of splitting the 8th and 9th place cars, Marlin and Johnson. The interval from the leader plus 1 lap.
He's hurt.
34 seconds, and he's not running even as quick as the leader by no means, so hard to ever make that up.
He's going to have to try to figure out a way to get back on the lead lap, stay out longer than everybody when everybody pits under green, or do something, take 2 tires.
Compare the lines here, Darrell. Junior climbs the hill, and Tony's right down on the line.
Tony will prevail, because I tell you, he can hook that bottom with the best of it. He's a bottom sucker. Catfish.
Now Junior tries the low line at this end of the racetrack.
See, he liked that. Listen, that looked pretty neat.
Kurt Busch is 3rd. Ricky Craven, the 4th place car, under pressure from Jerry Nadeau. Matt?
Well, Mike, last fall, this event, Dale Earnhardt Jr. had something in his eye late in the race and could only see out of one eye. Ricky Craven possibly has a... Mike Beams, the crew chief. Mike, is there something wrong with one of Ricky's eyes? He has debris in the eye?
Yeah, he said after a cautionary, he's got something in his right eye. His right eye's real blurry right now, so we're just trying to hold on here, you know, to make a green stop or a caution. You know, it's really... I don't know if it's bothering him bad, but, you know, he's really struggling right now. You know, doing a good job, you know, just driving the heck out of it. But, you know, it is hampered.
Ricky just dropped from 4th to 5th, Mike.
Thanks, Matt. I think, look at this group. Here's Rusty Wallace and Bobby Labonte, Michael Waltrip, and Mark Martin all fighting. They're going to take it 3 wide. Is Rusty going to put his nose in there? Nope, the hole closes up.
This is a battle for 15th position. These guys are battling back there like they're up there battling for the lead.
Michael's car looks loose in. They catch him going in, but then right in the center of the corner, he really does accelerate hard off the corner. So I don't think he's as good as he was when he passed all those cars early on.
Whoa, a little bit close quarters off turn 4. But that's the thing about turn 4. The racetrack's like a funnel right there coming off turn 4 onto the front straightaway.
You got some room to let the car go out, but it just keep on going. It's the problem. Turn 2's tight. Come off the 2, you got to keep pinching it down. Turn 3 and 4 here, you can run off that corner. Got a little bit of a D shape to it, but you got to be careful because that thing will take off with you. It picks up so much speed.
And there's another hometown hero at the top of your picture. Number 44, Buckshot Jones, University of Georgia grad there, driving to Petty.
It is this whole group, the whole Petty group. We talked about it last week in Las Vegas. They just keep getting a little better, They've got 1 year under their belt with the Dodge program. And you know, I think the whole crew chief driver relationship over there with these guys, Buckshot Jones, his crew chief Brian Fraser, is starting to come together. But Mike Eggy engines, especially at a place like this where you're on the throttle so much, I think that's been a big plus for these guys.
That and just a little bit of confidence. Once you get confidence in your crew and your crew chief, in your car, it makes all the difference in the world of how you perform on the racetrack.
Hang on, man. We'll get you. Back. Clear.
spot are so important here. You're just running so fast, and Darrell, the driver's in there with that full face helmet, headrest on both sides, head and neck restraint devices. I mean, he's your pair of eyes for getting around this racetrack, especially in traffic.
Yeah, you have very little peripheral vision now. That's why all the drivers are going to the little side mirrors. I know people say, well, what about blocking? That's just a product of Daytona and Talladega. You don't see that here. Same cars, same drivers.
Oh, look at Tony Stewart, that 20. Drive that thing on the outside, getting into 3.
He's outside.
For the lead.
And this is where the pit stop put Dale Jr. up there because he got fresh tires on. But the best car will prevail. Tony's got a great car. He handles good the whole run, all the way through his pit stop.
Stewart leads Earnhardt Jr., Busch, Nadeau, and Craven. You're watching Winston Cup Racing on Fox, presented by Home Depot. 103 laps are complete, and Tony Stewart's lead on Kurt Busch. Now 0.6 of a second. Dale Earnhardt Jr., Ricky Craven, Jerry Nadeau, the front 5, and then a pretty good gap back to Bill Elliott, Matt Kenseth, Sterling Marlin, and the 2 rookies, Jimmy Johnson, Ryan Newman, still 9th and 10th.
Hanging tough. Long way to go, boys. Just calm down.
There's Jerry Nadeau.
Air pressure back in and raise the right side track bar. Yeah, you still the third best car out there, so just keep hanging on. This Craven and the 20 car is better, so hang in there.
He's got his, he may be fast, but he's still on top of that wheel. He's got his hands full. And what he talked to him about was raising the track bar, and that's the bar in the rear that keeps the rear end in the center. And they'll be able to raise the right rear. Let me show you with our little animation right here. What they want to do, they want to raise the track bar. Now, the 2 top poles are where you adjust wedge, but the lower right rear is where they adjust the track bar. You can go up or down with it. Put the wrench in there. Now, they're actually lowering it in our animation right here. And when you lower it, it actually, what we call lowers the roll center. It will tighten the car up. But he wants his track bar raised up. That will help the car turn from the middle of the corner off. What he's telling him, put the air pressure back. I don't like that change, but raise my track bar to help me turn off the corner.
A lot of times what you have to do on a race car to get the effect you want, to get the feel you want, is a combination of changes. Track bar, air pressure, wedge. All 3 of those things are going to affect the car differently, and you're trying to correct the car for different things that it's doing on different places in the track.
And where I found the track bar probably makes the biggest difference is right in the center and off the corner, on the exit of the corner on the throttle.
Just think about the track bar. The higher up in the chassis it goes, the more the car will roll over.
There are some notes.
And the lower the track bar goes, the less the car will roll over.
And normally 1 round, they have it wrote right there, 1 round on the track bar equals a 1/4 inch either up or down.
We just put more right front air pressure. Jerry, don't worry about what you got to do right now. We know we got a problem. We're going to work hard. Just keep doing what you got to do, buddy. You're still running good time.
Jerry Nadeau.
And that's Tony Furr, his crew chief. And Tony Furr, that's what you have to do as a crew chief. Jerry's out there, remember, he's out there racing. He don't like the way his car's driving, but Tony's trying to say him, look, we're going to work on it. Let's look at our Fox tracks here. This is Tony Stewart, Kurt Busch running in second, the 97 car. There it is. Right there in the middle of the corner, they were pretty equal to each other. You see Kurt Busch got a good run off turn 4 down the front stretch right here.
Pretty equal race cars, actually.
They are pretty equal. It's like maybe one has a little advantage getting in the corner. Tony looks like he can get in a little better, but right here in the middle of the corner, Kurt has an advantage on the throttle coming off the corner.
And you notice Tony Stewart's up on the outside, which, you know, he's been around the bottom pretty much, but he's been on, I don't know if Kurt forced him up there and he can't get down, but that's been his best line, is around the bottom.
And not only are they at the front, they're the 2 fastest cars on the racetrack right now.
Well, yeah, and Craven and Dale Jr. are right back here, not too far behind him, and Nadeau's not too far behind him. So they're not getting away from anybody, and this side-by-side racing is slowing them down, and it's letting Craven and Dale Jr. catch back up. That's okay. I like side-by-side racing, and I like to see them guys catch back up.
Another great battle there as Newman comes toward the front against Dale Jarrett and Ward Burton.
That's a battle for 11th position. Ward Burton has been steadily working his way toward the front through this whole race.
Well,
he started back in 28th, Darrell.
Remember here last year, his teammate Dave Blaney had an awesome car.
Yes.
Could have won this race. And now this is Ward in the same, probably got the same notes. Steve, what do you know anything about that?
Hey, Darrell, earlier in the broadcast, you talked about how this track has lost grip. Well, right now, Ryan Newman's problem is, he just told crew chief Matt Borland, I haven't figured this out. I don't have any grip right now, and he's going to hold on to the next pit stop.
Well, it's probably, Larry, you need to look at your track temperature, because I'm thinking it's probably warmed up quite a bit.
And here's Ricky Craven, who's climbed right up to Kurt Busch.
And that's all a product of those guys racing each other. That allowed him to close up on Tony and Kurt. And look out there, Casey.
Casey Atwood in the 7 car right there. Boy, we got us a battle for second place right now. Looking like we're going to have a battle for the lead here shortly.
Dale Jr.'s lurking right back there behind them.
Ricky Craven, he's one of the few cars running the high line at both ends of the racetrack. And that's not unusual for Ricky.
He does it the same way he runs Rockingham. Call back to Rockingham, right up against that outside retaining wall.
And Darrell, the way this race has unfolded, I know this is a much faster track, but it reminds me a lot of Rockingham.
Yeah.
Drivers, if they can hug the bottom, they will.
Yeah.
If they can't, they go all the way to the top to run.
Yeah, and that's what I love about this new tire. You just think about last week. Last week, we had the best racing I've ever seen at Las Vegas. 3 wide, side by side. People said that was a boring racetrack. That wasn't a boring racetrack, no. And look at them today. They're all over this place.
Well, and we talk about the new tire and what it is. It's a harder compound. We heard Ryan Newman talk about grip. The harder compound, it don't have the grip that those old tires had. When we had those real grippy soft tires, everybody ran around the bottom of the racetrack. Now you can move the cars around.
Those soft tires ruined racing because everybody just wanted to run around the bottom.
Kurt Busch, Tony Stewart, Ricky Craven. 3 cars under a blanket. 15 lead changes so far. This year we had 20 at Daytona, 17 at Rockingham, and 21 lucky number lead changes at Las Vegas. 15 already here today.
Ricky Craven is getting such a run off the corner. He took second to place way off turn 2 back there off of Kurt Busch on the 97 car. Look at him pull up on Tony Stewart here as they come off turn 4.
But there's Dale Jr., and he just keeps closing it down as well. His car's come back to him. Hey, overhead. Cool. This is when you can see who's doing what. You can see who's gassing it, who isn't.
And look at the dark lines. One way at the top of the track and one way at the bottom.
Oh, yeah, we didn't have, this track was white from about the middle of the track all the way up when this race started. So we've laid down some rubber.
116 laps, Tony Stewart, Ricky Craven, Kurt Busch. Battle for the lead. Dale Earnhardt Jr. closing in. And then Jerry Nadeau, the 5th place car, about 3 seconds back. Matt Kenseth is 5 seconds off the lead. Tony Stewart, Ricky Craven, and Kurt Busch continue to battle for the lead at 121 laps. Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s faded back 1 second from that group. Then Nadeau, Kenseth, Bill Elliott, the pole sitter, and rookie Jimmy Johnson.
Bill Elliott's hanging in there pretty well. He's going to start on pole, and he's just riding along here in the top 10. Dale Jarrett's moved up to 10th. Some of the boys are just kind of hanging around. They know it's a long race.
Now, let's talk about a guy that started in 19th. Normally we're talking about him a lot because he's up there at the front of the field. I think that those couple of pit stops really made a difference for him. Jeff Gordon in the 24 car, he's up to 13th. I mean, he's got a new streak going. After Bobby Hamilton fell out at Las Vegas last week, now Jeff Gordon holds a streak of 34 consecutive races without a DNF. But Jeff Hammond, you and I had a conversation this morning with Robbie Loomis. And Robbie Loomis, he gave us some pretty good insight on what he feels about his driver, Jeff Gordon.
Yes, he did, Larry. I mean, and I was very impressed with the fact that he said that Jeff Gordon, in his opinion, is probably one of the most appreciative guys he's ever been around. Whenever they win, he's always very humble about it, very appreciative of the fact that the guys on the crew work so hard, and he's very conscious of the fact of how hard the guys work, and he brings out the best in all his guys because of his attitude.
And you know what he also told us also is when you go to a racetrack with Jeff Gordon, it don't matter if it's a half-mile flat track, a super speedway, or road course, you know if you get your stuff right that you can walk away as the winner of that race.
Exactly right, Larry. And I think one other thing I found real interesting, we got a lead change going on here right now as Kurt Busch is trying to go underneath the 20 car of Tony Stewart down into 1.
Boy, Jeff, I don't know if you can see that pass or not, but Busch, he just about lost it. He got up against that slow car, and he was really fishtailing out of turn 4.
You know, Darrell, I think we need to talk about that, too, as we get it. We're working through these traffic. The rate of gain here at Atlanta is so incredible. As they come up here on this slow car, you can see it's Mike Skinner.
Watch this.
Just about runs out of real estate.
Watch him. He's just trying to slide in there, and there's just not enough room. And, buddy, that could have been disastrous right there. That could have taken all 3 of them out. But you know what that is, Jeff? That's that rookie stuff. That's that impatient. Didn't want to wait.
Getting in a hurry sometimes, and that's where the spotter really needs to get on him and tell him, look what lap it is, big guy. Calm down, follow the man for a little bit, and save your race car. You can win this race.
Yeah, not only could he have wrecked, but you beat the fenders in on the thing, and it's not going to handle right.
Yeah, don't call me on the radio and all of a sudden say my car's pushing after what you just did.
Now, Mike Skinner came to pit road, as did Bobby Hamilton. Skinner was too fast entering, so he's held for 15 seconds in his pit by the NASCAR official. Next week, that rule will change as far as speeding on pit road. The enforcement, the penalty, is going to be different. It won't be a stop and go. It's going to be a pass down pit road at pit road speed rather than having to stop in your pit and being held.
Now, I was under the impression, Mike, and I'm not, and you may know better than I because I just heard about this morning, lead change here. Here we go, side by side. That if they didn't get their penalty assessed when they should have, you would have to have a drive-through. And I'm not sure. It was just handed out this morning. Quite frankly, I think they should do it at the next pit stop, whatever that is.
We'll double check.
But the only reason I asked that is because I saw that bulletin as I was coming up here.
So Kurt Busch got into a little rub there with Mike Skinner. Steve?
Hey, Mike, Kurt Busch may be inexperienced, but I tell you what, he's one cool young racer. He asked Jimmy Fennick and the spotter to see if he had any damage to the car. They looked at it from both sides. The spotter being Jeremy Brickhouse, they said, no, it looks okay. In fact, they even watched the replays here in the pits from Fox. Jimmy Fennick said it looks just fine, and Kurt Busch came back and said, hey, rubbin's racing. Dick Berger.
Well, to clarify that rule change that will take place next week for the first time, it is a roll through the pits. Either if the speeding infraction occurs going down to the pits or leaving the pits. It is a roll through.
Tony Stewart told me he felt like dirty air and traffic cost him the win last week in Las Vegas, and that's the same problem that Jeff Gordon is battling here in Atlanta today. In clean air, the car is very good, but he told his crew chief Robbie Lewis on the radio, in traffic and in dirty air, the car gets an aero push. On the first stop, they made a track bar adjustment. It helped a little bit. On the second stop, they made an air pressure and wedge adjustment. It's helped tremendously. The car is not perfect, but it is getting better. He has now climbed up to 12. They still have some work to do for the 4-time champ to get his 4th Atlanta victory.
Now here's Kenny Wallace fighting to stay on the lead lap. Remember, he was penalized for dragging the fuel can down pit road and to make the penalty stop, and now he finds himself just a car length or so from going a lap down.
And man, this is when you really, really hurry up. You know, you get up on that wheel and try to hang on because there might be a quick caution. There might be a caution. Look at this. I mean, they caught him. They obviously caught him, but they can't get around him. And you got Tony's he's in the box. He's trying to get around the 1 car to get away from the 97 car. He's trying to get away from the 32 cars, trying to get away from the 8 car.
Wallace, a decent car, but he had to start at the tail end of the line and falls into the clutches of the leaders. He is quick enough to, so far, keep from going a lap down. However, since they've caught Kenny Wallace, that brings Ricky Craven into this battle for the lead and Dale Earnhardt Jr.
And now Kurt Busch is going to go down on the bottom, and the car get a little bit loose coming up off there, but he can't carry the momentum. He had to squeeze up out of it.
Guys, one of the things that Kenny Wallace might be thinking about, we got pit stops coming up, and he's trying his darndest to keep those guys behind him, to give his boys a chance to maybe get him out in front of them, stay on the lead lap, make some adjustments to his car, because he looks pretty strong.
Yeah, Jeff, that's the best gauge of how good your pit stop was. And when you come in, the leader's right behind you, you want to come out, and he's still behind you.
Yeah, we're probably within about 10 laps of pit stops. They was all in on lap 76, so it'll be shortly. I'll have to be to pit road for 4 tires and try to make more adjustments.
133 laps complete. Tony Stewart, Ricky Craven, Kurt Busch at Atlanta. Welcome back to NASCAR on Fox coverage of the MBNA America 500 in Atlanta. The leaders are pitting. Tony Stewart's been in and out. Jeff Gordon is in right now. Kevin Harvick, Terry and Bobby Labonte. Trouble on pit road. Bobby Labonte's car was hit and turned around. And one of the crew members that was on the wall waiting to come over got knocked back the other side of pit wall. I do not believe he was pinned between the car and the wall, just knocked back over the wall.
Jimmy Spencer was coming out. He just ran right in the side of Bobby Labonte. Bad break for Bobby.
And nobody is on the ground hurt, which is certainly good news.
Bobby he just does an incredible job. When we see this again, watch how quickly he gets that car righted. Watch this. Here he comes down through there. Now Spencer's coming out. And bam! Didn't mean to holler out like that, but when I saw that, it just...
Well, that's a dangerous situation.
It was.
And the pit crew is coming over the wall at this point because he's only one pit away. The official and the crewmen jump back over. The official does go down, but everybody is up and okay.
But the great thing about it is just you see everybody that goes across that wall, including NASCAR officials, has to wear a safety helmet. So that's a great thing about this rule.
I tell you, he had great presence. So Larry, he spun that thing around, put it right back in the pit box. Didn't cost him a whole lot.
Everybody's okay. I'm sure a little worried or whatever. What in the world went on right there? It all happened so fast.
Now they got Jimmy Spencer's car. They're going to bang out that right front fender where he got into Labonte.
Kevin Harvick was on pit road about a lap ago. He's back in because he had a loose lug nut.
Emotional winner of last year's Cracker Barrel Old Country Store 500 here in Atlanta. A thrilling finish.
Well, you just never know what's going to happen, do you?
Well, Kyle Petty has the lead. How about that?
You never know what's going to happen, do you?
He has yet to make his pit stop. Elliott Sadler now second, Matt Kenseth. And then the leaders before pit stop, Stewart, Busch, and Craven.
I don't think we see Kyle Petty lead the race all that often lately, Larry.
No, he's out there. What he's trying to do, he wants that caution flag. He'd love to have that caution
flag.
Here he comes.
Right now. Here he comes.
Not going to catch the caution, so he's going to come on to pit road.
Hey, he led a lap, man. I think that's pretty big.
And what he was doing, though, with those fresh tires on Tony Stewart, he was giving a second and a half up a lap.
An interesting onlooker in his pit, the former Olympic medal winner, Peekaboo Street, is down there with the Petty gang today.
I went out to the Olympics and got to meet her, and she was a huge Dale Earnhardt fan, but she is also a huge race fan. She was Grand Marshal at Martinsville last year, if you recall.
And here's Elliott Sadler, who took over the lead and led a lap, and now comes on the pit road for the Wood Brothers.
That pretty much cycles everybody on the pit stops.
Dick Berggren.
Well, Happy Harvick has not been terribly happy today. He won this race last year, but not too pleased with his race car. The problem is that number 29 car, which is the same car that won, is very loose and darty, and he's having a tough time in traffic. NASCAR called him in for a missing lug nut, and Harvick really let him have it. Did not want to have to come in, but that, on the other hand, is the rule. Meanwhile, Car 8, Earnhardt, has called in and said that the engine's loaded up a little bit, motor's missing. Connect.
Up here in the 18 pit of Bobby Labonte, all the crew members are A-OK. The crew member that fell back across the wall was Derek Jennings, the rear tire carrier, but everyone is okay. But we did hear on the radio that NASCAR has asked that the driver, crew chief, and owner of the 41 report to the trailer at the end of the day. To Steve.
Well, Matt, when Kurt Busch brought his number 97 Ford to pit road, they made absolutely no adjustments. I talked to car chief Sean Parker. He said not even a minor air pressure adjustment. Kurt likes it just the way it is. Kurt Busch's response was, man, this is fun today. To Jeannie's Alaska.
I'll tell you someone else who was having fun, coincidentally on their birthday, the 30th birthday of Matt Kenseth, from the rear of the field, and look where he's at now, currently fifth, coming in looking for balance in the car. He was loose off, and now he's tight off, so he had a half pound, but back in that right rear, and he's changed his running line as well on the track, and he's looking pretty good, feeling good about the car as well. He should, guys.
Well, I know somebody else is feeling good. Jimmy Johnson in that 48 car started 13th. He's moved up to 4th, and he was one of the guys that came to pit road, got those fresh tires a little sooner than everybody. I talked to Jimmy this morning, and he said, Larry, this is one of our latest versions of downforce cars, just as much downforce as we can. He said the problem on qualifying day, you just have to drive the car so hard to get speed out of it. I said, Jimmy, trust me, you're going to like that downforce today, though.
Yeah. Hey, look here. Kurt Busch and Tony Stewart came in the pit together. They're running first and second. Tony's now got that 5-second lead again.
Having a look, checking tires that have come off these cars, trying to plan for the next round of pit stops. 147 laps of Winston Cup racing are complete. Tony Stewart now leads Kurt Busch by a little less than 4 seconds. Dale Earnhardt Jr. closing on Kurt Busch, then Jimmy Johnson and Matt Kenseth. Home Depot cam on board Stewart.
Right under Stewart, right back there in that green car is Bobby Labonte, who went a lap down, but he has been closing at a high rate of speed on his teammate.
Jeff Hammond?
Yeah, Mike, we're talking about the amount of distance right now, all of a sudden, between the 97 car of Kurt Busch and Tony Stewart. We keep putting a lot of emphasis on how the guys get off the racetrack and how important pit stops are. Right here you can see, this is Tony Stewart's pit stop right here at 14.8, right at 15 flat. Kurt Busch, 17 seconds. There's a 2 seconds difference right there. Now, look right here on pit road, the amount of time coming down off the racetrack, 41.4 versus 44. Again, 2.5 seconds. That's where our 4.5 second lead that Tony Stewart has just picked up is because he hustling in, pit crew hustling, and getting back up there on the racetrack is now giving him a little bit of room to get these guys off of it and just race the racetrack.
Just from a driver's perspective, Jeff, and you know this, you can never rest. Even when they tell you pit next time by, you don't say, well, I'll slow down and get ready to pit. You got to drive that thing to the end of pit road. You got to get that drink of water, and you got to get out of there and get back up to speed.
But Darrell, you and I talked about it earlier. Another strategy Greg Cipodelli and those guys are doing. They're getting him on the pit road early. He has a clean pit road. He don't have all this traffic to contend with, dodging cars like we've seen a lot today.
That's so helpful to the drivers. Find your pit.
Earnhardt Jr. versus Tony Stewart. See the interval up there in the top right-hand corner right here. It's closing at a pretty fast rate right there.
Dale Jr. seems to be real good on 4 tires. New tires, right after they pit, he closes, and then all of a sudden, halfway through the run, he starts to fade a little bit.
Fresh tires, 194 miles an hour into turn 1. There you see, pretty much about the same through 1 and 2. This is down the backstretch, halfway down the backstretch. 192, 193 miles an hour into turn 3.
Folks, this is a 1.5 mile racetrack. Got little bitty short straightaways, but got great big old long turns. How about it, Jeff?
Half a pound out left rear. We'll get it back further and sticking with it.
Guys, one of the things I found out early this morning talking to Tony Eury, Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s crew chief, they have changed their setup for this race because normally they have always gotten too tight at the end of the race and always faded. Today, they changed the springs, stayed the same shock package, but they decided to start the race a lot looser and let the racetrack come to them. So it makes me wonder, maybe as the race progresses, he should get stronger as the day goes on.
Yeah, I don't know, Jeff. I just looses. If it's a controllable loose, maybe they got a rubber in the right rear they can pull out and tighten them up if they have to.
I think it.
Now, Kurt Busch here in the 97 has been drifting back. He lost second place. Now he's fallen to 3.8 seconds off the lead. Steve, is there a problem?
Yeah, Mike, it sounds like it. Kurt Busch just radio crew chief Jimmy Finnegan said, ask the tire changers if they got all the lug nuts on. I've got a bad right rear wobble. Jimmy Finnegan checked with the guys. They assured him that all the lug nuts were tight. He said, I'm just going to drive it until I can't stand it. A right rear wobble is how he described it.
Boy, the leader over off turn 2 just ran up on a bunch of traffic. Woo!
Look at the Fox tracks on the interval right here. Kurt Busch to Tony Stewart, the leader.
He's gaining ground.
Well, he wanted that reassurance, you know, that, hey, my tire changers, they got the lug nuts tight. I still got a vibration, guys, but as long as I know it's not a loose wheel, I'm going to try to live with it.
Well, you got to see the leader off the turn 2. He ran up on a bunch of cars here. Watch this. He's got nowhere to go. As Jeff Green in front of him, he decides he's going to try down through the middle, and Jeff Green says, I don't think I want you to do that, my friend. Here's his teammate, Bobby Labonte, trying to get back on the lead lap. Whoa. Man, that was close.
Pull the leader up there. Everybody's going to try to take it down.
Oh, yeah. Nobody's going to
stay on the lead lap and get their lap back.
Tony Stewart spent his whole formative years of racing running in 25 and 30 lap short races on short tracks where you go for the hole, and if it closes up when you get there, then you do something else. But you don't live it. You got to go while that hole is there, and he thought it was there.
You know something I found interesting talking to him? You know how all of you guys are workout fanatics, physical fitness fanatics? Guess what he does?
For workout?
Yeah. Nothing. I couldn't believe it. He said, well, I just race all the time.
All right, now, Darrell, here's Tony Stewart. Here's his teammate running right behind him. Should the caution come out, you're the leader. What do you do?
Well, I'm feeling pretty comfortable if I'm Bobby Labonte. That's my teammate.
Okay.
So I'm pretty sure he would blow out all 4 tires over here at the start line if he had to let me get back on the lead lap.
Tony Stewart will let him back on the lead lap.
Yes, sir. I'm not a big fan of that. I don't like him slowing down, letting people back on the lead lap, but that's my teammate.
Halfway through this time by, guys. Halfway.
And at halfway, gets us to our Coors Light halfway recap. Ryan Newman led the first 15 laps. Bill Elliott was the pole sitter. Then Tony Stewart took over. And we've had 18 lead changes over the next 124 laps. Tony Stewart has led the most laps, 95. Dale Earnhardt Jr. tracking Tony Stewart from 1.6 seconds back. Kurt Busch holding his own in third.
There is the leader, Tony Stewart. And we saw Bobby Labonte, who has won 5 times in Atlanta, having trouble slowing down.
Yeah, it looks like he may be the first victim of this one-engine rule, and I believe Matt Yoakum may have an update on that.
Well, Jeff, I've got Jimmy Maker, the crew chief for the 18 car. Jimmy, what's wrong with the engine?
Something going wrong. Braking. When Spencer hit us over here on pit road and turned the car around, Bobby over-revved it quite a bit. And probably bent something in the motor. It's just gone bad. So had to let that on pit road, cost us.
All right, thank you very much. And in the pre-race show, we talked about motors. Of course, last year in this race, 8 blown engines, the most of any one race or track last year. And Jeff, you talked about what led to the blown engine, or what might certainly lead to it here.
And Jimmy Macar was trying to say, over-revving the engine, what it affects is the valve train, the valve spring in particular. And what happens is when you over-rev one like that, a lot of times it collapses the spring so much that it will actually break it. And that's probably what happened right here. And you can see right now Dale Earnhardt Jr. is making a challenge right there. That's my boy right there, passing Tony Stewart. And if you can't tell about, I have picked him today. Yes. I hope he can do well.
You picked Dale Earnhardt Jr. to win the race in our pre-race show, challenging and now passing Tony Stewart. You know, the Roush cars coming into this race, all 4 were in the top 10. Now it's early, but they were in the top 10 in Winston's Cup points race. And how are they doing today?
They're doing quite well, with the exception of Jeff Burton. He got down early, but been watching his lap times. Undoubtedly, they've made some adjustments to the car. His lap times look very good. He needs to get a caution, maybe, and get back up there where he can challenge and get his lap back, because his times are good.
And I wanted to mention, you know, Kurt Busch is currently running 3rd. Now, his new crew chief is Jimmy Fennick, who has 16 career wins, including all the way back in '88 at Daytona with Bobby Allison. But he was Martin's crew chief last year. Why the flip of teams prior to this year?
Well, to be honest with you, Mark and Jimmy felt like their ideas were getting kind of stagnant. Jimmy is very much a student of this game. He's very good, very much a veteran. Jack looked at the situation and said, hey, I'm going to flip things around right quick and see if we can't get everybody, on board. So he put Jimmy with Kurt.
And Kurt Busch in the top 3, as you mentioned. And as you mentioned, we'll keep an eye on Mark Martin as well. Let's go back upstairs.
Well, Dale Earnhardt Jr., our new leader now, Tony Stewart, right with him, 3/10 back.
Racing is cruel, isn't it? My man blows up, Hammond's man takes the lead. Racing is mean.
That's why these grandstands are full every week, ODW. It's so unpredictable. Bobby Labonte continues on the racetrack. He's about 3 seconds a lap slower than the leader, but he's maintaining that pace, not in the way of competition. So he'll get lapped about once every dozen laps or so, but he can stay out there as long as he can maintain that speed.
And just hope it'll keep running the rest of this race.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. lapping Jeremy Mayfield in the 19 car, finished second last week at Las Vegas, but not having the day he had today that he had last week.
I'm not big on a lot of statistics, but try this on for any other major professional sport. 7 drivers in the field are under 30 years of age. Okay, fine. But 17 drivers in the field are over 40 years of age. And here's the big kicker. The youngest driver in this race, Casey Atwood, is 21. The oldest driver competing in the very same major professional event, Dick Trickle, is 60. You won't see that anywhere else.
Big spin. Junior told me, he said, I like getting me a driver that's in his late 29s or early 30s.
That kind of applies to Dale Earnhardt Jr., who leads this race now over Tony Stewart by 3/4 of a second. 180 laps complete, 145 to go.
Man, Stevie, I don't know how that. I don't know what's going on there, but I am a married man, very happy. Thank you very much.
Well, she might have a boyfriend whose initials aren't Darrell Waltrip.
That's what it was. That's what it was.
Her card was green. Maybe she picked Bobby Labonte too.
But you're talking about this huge disparity in age from 21 to 61. Huge difference in speeds too, from what we qualified to what we're racing at. Look at that. We're racing at about 178 miles an hour right now, down from 191 that we qualified.
And that's just simply, again, this racetrack is just so hard on tires. Plus, you're out there, you've got the front end open, you don't have it blocked up like you did on qualifying, getting all that downforce and getting that drag down on the straightaways, and the cars just slip and slide a lot more on race day than on qualifying day.
Plus, it's a bigger racetrack than it was when we qualified, because we're running
running a lot longer distance.
That's right.
All right, we've talked about the fortunes of the Roush cars. Jeff Burton not having a particularly good day, mired back there in 27th place. Jeannie?
And this is our own personal version of crank it up, because we're in the final pit stall. So I'm going to lean in and bother Frank Stoddard. Just curious what's going on with the car. You knew it was going to be a problem getting to the front because where you qualified. Where are you ranking with the Roush group right now? Not too good.
Well, they've obviously done a whole lot better job than we have today. That's obvious. But we're going to keep fighting all day. We thought we had a good, decent car on long run. We knew we were real slow to start for whatever reason. We just couldn't get a hold of the racetrack like we needed to on fresh tires. But, you know, we started out there at the front this time, and I think we're running about 13th if we weren't a lap down. So, you know, we're okay in the long run, but we're just junked on new tires. And, you know, I'm sure Jeff's got a little bit of heavy heart today. His coach driver, Sherman's in the hospital for the triple bypass surgery, so we're all praying for him, make sure that goes okay. So our day can't be as bad as what his is.
We will echo the sentiments, thoughts, and prayers going out.
For 16 years, Tony Eury has fielded race cars for Dale Earnhardt Sr., now Dale Earnhardt Jr. Early, they were worried about a vibration. They were worried about a soft engine. No worries now. That car is running great. Now what?
Big trouble.
We've got a crash. We've got a crash.
Trickle hit the wall hard out of turn 2 and then spun around and center punched into the back straightaway wall.
That car it took a hard right, and then all of a sudden it shot straight back to the left. Or vice versa. Hard left and back to the right.
Just prior to that, Bobby Labonte had taken his car to the garage. Now, Huck Strickland was in the garage earlier for 20 laps, but they made repairs to his Bill Davis Dodge, and he came back out.
Boy, look at the nose of that car. He knocked the fire out of that wall. Flattened the nose. Watch this. Oh, he got up there and got up high in the loose stuff, lost it. Got the hospital wobble in her right there.
Boy, there's the points leader, Sterling Martin, the 40 car right below him right there.
Hard lick, guys.
Yes, it was.
Thank goodness for the Hans device. Bam.
Trying to save it, and away it goes. The driver's net, the window net is down. That's the signal to the safety crews from Dick Trickle that he is okay and will be able to climb out of that car.
Just did I looked up just as it was headed right back to the right into the wall.
Dave Marcus Racing has but 4 full-time employees to keep this fleet of cars running. They don't run every race. Marcus retired as a driver after the Daytona 500 and put Dick Trickle in the car for they missed the show at Rockingham and made it here, but their day is done.
He got up in that loose stuff. I was thinking he probably picked a lot of that up on the tires, and then he just started losing control and tried to save it and couldn't.
Guys, pit road will be really busy here. It's been 110 laps since we had the caution. This is where that driver was able to tell that crew chief a little more information about what we're looking for the last half of this race.
Another timely pit stop. You've had a green stop, now you've got one under caution to work on it. Jeannie.
And the birthday boy making his way into the pits is 17 of Matt Kenseth. Very pleased with this car. He's going to get 4 tires and just an air pressure adjustment and all the fuel that he can handle. Of course, he had the engine problem after qualifying, had to make the change. So far, so good. Steve.
Well, Jeannie, the wobble that Kurt Busch referred to in the right rear has gone away, but they put half a pound of air in the right front. Good stop for Kurt Busch. Let's go to Matt.
Tony Stewart is already gone. We made an air pressure adjustment trying to tweak on that number 20 Pontiac. Still tick tight in the center of the corner today.
Well, Dale Earnhardt Jr. just had a terrific pit stop, but it wasn't the best because he got beaten out by the number 20 of Tony Stewart. He said the car was a bit snug off. He urged the crew not to do anything significant with the car. They made a couple of half-pound air adjustments, and that's it. Those air adjustments were to try to compensate for what they expect the track to do, which is tighten that race car up as the day wears on.
Dick Trickle climbs from the car with very little help from the rescue workers. And it's good to see that he's out of that car under his own power and waves off attention. Right back. Welcome back to Atlanta. 189 laps complete, 136 to go. Tony Stewart came off pit road first. Dale Earnhardt Jr., Kurt Busch, Matt Kenseth, and Dale Jarrett up in the top 5 for the first time today. There's a look at Ricky Rudd, who is currently 18th and still on the lead lap. Last fall at Homestead, his crew members involved in a very horrific accident when Ward Burton was tipped into the crew members as they came into the wall, over the wall. The NASCAR official thrown up on the hood and 3 members knocked down. Bobby Burrell, there you see on the left, the most seriously injured of the 3. Let's go down to Jeannie and Ricky Rudd's pit for today's Ford No Boundaries moment.
No boundaries for Ford, but NASCAR realizing safety a key issue in the pits. That's why we're seeing all the helmets this year. And as the boys talk, Bobby Burrell, as you mentioned, he actually had a hole in his eardrum. Kevin Hall just bruised up, banged up, and they took the rest of the season off after Homestead. The good news is both guys are feeling better. They're both going back over the wall, and they came back to start the 2002 season at Daytona. Everything okay. This a happy ending, Mike.
Thanks, Jeannie.
Well, some of those helmets are weird looking, aren't they? Look like bad haircuts.
Some of them are very aerodynamic, look like bicycle racing helmets.
Yeah, okay. There's all kind of different. Everybody's got a different idea about what they need.
Jeff?
All right, Jeff Hammond, I want to talk to you a little bit about strategy. We're fixing to go back racing here in just a second. We have to think about it. This race has a green flag look to it. We've only had 2 cautions. We pitted on lap 187. That's 138 laps to go. You would have to run 69 laps a run, and we've not seen anybody really do that except cars like Elliott Sadler in that 21 car stretching that fuel mileage. What I've been telling my driver right now, save me some fuel under the caution flags.
You're exactly right. As a matter of fact, I talked to Pat this morning, who's crew chief on Elliott Sadler's car, Pat Tryson, and he told me early on, he said, I'm going to be trying to stretch fuel so I know how far I can go. Believe me, he has an opportunity. He'll steal one from you with fuel.
Get ready to go back green here, guys. And folks, if this thing turns into a fuel mileage race, my ribs are going to be hurting because Larry McReynolds pokes me every time. Look at that.
Stewart, Earnhardt Jr., Busch, Kenseth, Jarrett, then rookie Jimmy Johnson, Elliott, Ward Burton, Jerry Davis, and Jeff Gordon up in the top 10. Here we go. Huck Strickland behind the wall for the second time today. Jeff Green has taken his car behind the wall. And prior to the caution, Bobby Hamilton scraped the wall up in turn 2 and had to make an unscheduled stop.
How about that 88 car? DJ Dale Jarrett.
Man. Kenny Schrader got into the Ryan Newman, turned him sideways. Coming off turn 4 there. Watch this, Larry. They're going to come off turn 4. They're going down the back right here. Watch this coming off turn 4. They're all bottled up here. 12 car right there in the middle, 3 wide. Watch Schrader. Oh,
we've seen that so many times today, though. It's not that John Andretti just moves up into him. It's just the car moves up there. You're carrying so much momentum so fast on fresh tires off the corner.
The report from Jeff Green's pit is that they broke a valve spring. That's one of the things Jeff Hammond showed us and talked to us about during our singular pre-race.
Junior's got his hands full. Again, right now they're down on air pressure, trying to keep the pressure from building up so much, and the cars will be a little wiggly or loose on cold tires if the pressure's down.
And you know, the crew just can't help but squeeze air out of those tires. They come in, they got such a huge amount of buildup in them that you're trying to really help the driver, but it sure makes it difficult early on in a run.
For much of this race, we've had 2 rookies in the top 10. Right now, there's only one. Jimmy Johnson, at number 48.
That Lowe's car, he just keeps hanging out there in the top 10. He's all over the back of Dale Jarrett right now, that 88 car.
And you know, Ray, I know this will never happen, but I wish they let them run bleeder valves in the tires. That way you would never have to adjust it. You would never have to start the air pressure too low. You wouldn't have to worry about it getting too high. It would eliminate a big problem. Go, Matt.
Well, guys, the 48 car, Jimmy Johnson, his car was prepared to pick the 48 car, and the caution came out, he hit it right around. Chad, how close were you on fuel on that last run?
Way too close as far as I'm concerned. We were actually coming down, getting ready to pit when that caution came out. Good heads-up work by his spotter Chris up there. You know, he saw the car spin on the back straightaway and called Jimmy, told him to stay out. You know, we're trying to be very cautious. Lowe Chevrolet's running great today. Jimmy's doing a really good job. Positions on the track. Hickory's doing a really good job. So we're just trying to be cautious and bring this thing home with a good finish.
They're trying to become the first-time winner in the last 4 races here in Atlanta this afternoon.
Very impressed with the job that Chad Knaus is doing as a crew chief on that car. He started out at Hendrick Motorsports Cup 3 years ago with Ray Everham, and now he's back over there.
Junior still, I know their pressure should be built back up in that thing by now. He's still wrestling that race car.
He's going to get behind on the steering here in a minute if he ain't careful. Right now he's on top of it. I don't know how long he can stay.
And we're seeing something that we hadn't seen on fresh tires. Tony Stewart is running that high line early in a run now.
Darrell, is this when as a driver you're saying, come to me, build up that pressure, make this thing right?
Well, everybody's saying it. The crew chief, you're hollering at the crew. What'd you do to my tires? They're saying, just stay with it, it's going to come to you. They better come to me pretty quick, I'm going to wreck.
I know, he's there.
Man, look at Tony carry that thing into that turn.
I think Earnhardt Jr. had enough of that thing running sideways.
I mean, you saw on the Fox back there over 10 miles an hour faster down there in the middle of the corner.
See, it's finally dawned on him. I'm going to wreck this thing if I keep doing that. So he's going to back off and ride a little bit.
Just look at the interval. Look how much ground he's losing. I mean, every foot there he's losing ground.
But I'm telling you, when I say you're going to get behind on your steering, at some point in time you're going to realize that if I keep doing this, I am going to crash.
Man, next weekend, the Lady in Black, Darlington, South Carolina. We'll be talking about slipping and sliding there next weekend.
The name of that, they say that track too tough to tame, and I always got just pour Jim Hunter out. I said, the thing must be too tough to pay. That's something. He needs some work done on it.
Dale Earnhardt Jr., that 8 car, he's got a problem. I mean, he's already lost 3rd position now to Matt Kenseth in the 17 there, and he continues to go backwards.
Inside the 48.
Watch his hands here, y'all. Let's see what it does going off in this corner. Bet he turns to the right somewhere along the way here. That's kind of neutral right there. He's not really pulling it to the left that far. He's just kind of neutral right there. Coming off the corner. He's okay there, but doesn't have that hand. The hands seem to be way over here.
Well, look, he's got company. He's got Jimmy Johnson right alongside him. Dick Berger,
look at him. That thing is nervous.
I just talked to Tony Eury Sr., and he said that Earnhardt Jr. doesn't like this set of tires. Remember, they made a couple of air pressure adjustments, and that was a bit of a gamble because the car had been perfect.
So Junior fades to 5th into the clutches of Dale Jarrett.
Inside 88, clear behind him. Clear behind him. They're about 15 back.
Not only does he not like these tires, he hates these tires.
He's wanting a caution right now. He wants to get the pit road under caution condition and get those 4 tires and find out what's going on.
Now, you want to see a pro? Watch this veteran. That's what you call holding a pretty wheel. Look at that. Calm, cool, smooth. Driving along in my automobile, baby beside me at the wheel.
And up front, Kurt Busch back to the front once again.
particular place to go. Except the victory circle. Got a slow one down there, guys. Who's that?
Jeff Green again. Jeff Green came out of the garage, made one lap, and he's going to pull back in. He was had insult to injury. He was too fast leaving pit road, so this is a penalty stop. Kurt Busch has led 32 laps today. He's back out front and trying to scoot away from Tony Stewart. You're watching Winston Cup Racing on Fox. Kurt Busch leading as you ride with Dale Jarrett. And we are under caution. Jeff Green appears to have lost an engine. We're watching NASCAR Winston Cup Series Racing on Fox, presented by Home Depot, as we are under caution once again. Oil from Jeff Green's number 30.
Yeah, and Michael my brother, he just blew out. He just took his car to the garage. I mean, while we were away, folks, a lot of things started happening. Not good when your hood is up like that.
Now, Tony Stewart began to slow dramatically, not dramatically,
well,
but he let Matt Kenseth go. He was still the second, now is the fourth place car. So is there something wrong with Stewart? Michael Waltrip.
You can hear that thing, it's hammering. It's lost the cylinder, something happened to it.
I heard him say might have broke a rod.
Yeah,
connecting rod.
Rod of bearings.
Pit road is busy, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. get those adjustments he needs. Genius Velasco.
And the 17 of Matt Kenseth thought they had a problem as well. Matt radioing in saying, hey, did you accidentally put my right side tires on the left side? He came in, got 4 tires and fuel, and that was a tight squeeze out past the 28. Steve?
Well, Jeannie, Kurt Busch likes his car the way it is. The last stop, they put half a pound of air in the right front. He said do the same exact thing. The longer they run, the better they are. Let's go to Matt.
A very close call on pit road between the 20, 32, and 97. Tony Stewart, Mike, said that his car became very free on entry, so they went up half a pound in the right front today.
Well, Dale Earnhardt Jr. just had a relatively long pit stop, and a whole pile of people managed to beat him out of the pits. Good news is he's got the 4 fresh tires on that car that he wanted, so he should handle better.
Big winner on pit stops, Matt Kenseth.
Oh, he was fast, 14.9 out of there.
And he got out fast.
Those World Pit Crew champions, they just keep shining every week, every pit stop for Matt Kenseth.
So we're under caution for fluid dropped on the track by Jeff Green. We'll be right back. 211 laps complete. Matt Kenseth, the leader after pit stops. Ricky Craven and Tony Stewart. Driver and crew chief always working on talking on how to improve the car.
Yeah, I still got tightness in the center, but I just feel like I lost a little grip there. When we did the bite earlier in the day, and I don't know how many times we've done it, but that seemed to help me to turn better. Y'all just make that call.
DJ, we've raised that track bar up on the right side, last 2 stops a half inch. That's been probably the biggest thing. Maybe it needs some bite in it with that.
I'm still a little bit to the tight side there, Todd. I was thinking that was just making me lose some grip in the center. I didn't feel as good. Maybe we're okay. I don't know.
4. Running pretty good there. Wouldn't change a whole lot.
Dale Jarrett, this is DW up in the TV tower. How you read, bud?
Got you loud and clear.
Hey, man, you done slipped up there and you're in the top 5. How's that old hot rod running?
We've worked on it all day and got it better and better. Still a little bit tight in the center. We've tried to get some of that out, and we can get that out to where I can go through the center just a little bit quicker. We might be able to race them at the end.
Yeah, you're looking real good. Maybe you ought to work on that track bar. What do you think about that?
That's the adjustment that Jimmy and Todd have made the last couple of times, and that seemed to help. We took a round of bite out of it this last time. We'll see what that does and get ready for our last stop, and hopefully we'll have something for them at the end.
Old Brown's looking pretty good. Good luck.
Thank you, DW.
The Fords of Matt Kenseth and Ricky Craven up front, then the Pontiac of Tony Stewart. There are 18 cars on the lead lap.
And how Ricky Craven got in the second position. Remember, the last caution was on lap 185. They went back racing at 191. What happened, Ricky Craven been in the top 5 all day. He felt the vibration under caution. They elected to come back in. Much better to do it under caution. Change the 4 tires, make sure all the lugs was tight. He was back in 18th position. We ran 17 laps since that last caution. Mike Beam and that group decided to roll the dice. Let's try 2 tires on the right side, get track position, but DW, that's a lot of laps on tires sliding around, 18 laps.
Well, it really is. And by the way, how many pages of notes have we taken so far today?
I'm on my 2nd notebook.
Larry, we're doing TV. You know, those guys are keeping up with all that.
I got to keep figuring it, though. You can't just throw it all away.
I'll tell you what, while we're figuring, let's crank it up for the folks on this restart.
Strap that surround sound down. Those TV
Kenseth leads him to the flag. Tony Stewart had just taken 2nd, and there is debris on the racetrack up against the wall in the front straightaway.
Man, there was so much stage drive blowing around. That was enough to cause me to want to caution.
Darrell, the word is it's the side window, perhaps from Brett Bodine's car, but somebody's side window came out.
And what that is, that's in the right side window opening. Just the left side's open, has a window net in it, but on the right side, on tracks 1.5 miles and bigger, they have to run that right side window. And what that's part of the package, when the car goes to spin out, it will keep the car from wanting to take off like an airplane.
Well, it could be one of 2 things. He could have got it up against the wall and bent the right side, or all that turbulence. Remember we saw that turbulence inside of Tony's car? That can pop that thing out of there if it's not in properly.
As you saw Brett Bodine's car, good to see Bob Brooks and the Hooters folks back in racing. This is a 1-race deal for Brett Bodine, but there is the possibility of a longer association and perhaps even running another car for Kurt Shelmerdine at some races, as well as Brett Bodine.
There you see Brett Bodine in 11 is missing the right side window. They have to put a window in there. You see they had a window to put back in it. You cannot run without that window.
Hammond would have never done that. He doesn't do windows, so I'd have had a problem.
Brett is away, and we're under caution with 109 laps to go.
Under the 4th caution of the day, back at the Hollywood Hotel trackside, just next to Victory Lane, where eventually we'll find out who's going to win this thing. Jeff Hammond, got about 100 laps to go. You've talked about fuel mileage, you've talked about blown engines. In fact, we've had, or at least engine failure, 5 cars so far lost in the race because of that.
Well, we talked about this little item right here earlier, the valve
spring. What's that cost, by the way?
That's about a $50 part right there. And what we're looking right now at is this last 108 laps. This is what's going to really separate the men from the boys and the guys who got their act together when it comes to this right here.
How about strategy-wise with about 1 more pit stop remaining, right? Figuring.
Yeah, you got 1 more stop coming up, and I think right now the guys are going to probably try to split that, run probably about 60 laps right there, maybe 59, somewhere along in there. Make maybe an early stop, try to force people, but you'll be seeing what you've been seeing all day long. Hard, aggressive racing from here on out. They've got to get up on the wheel and go after it.
Talked about some of the young guns, Kurt Busch, Jimmy Johnson in the top 5, Tony Stewart running 2nd, Matt Kenseth the leader. Let's go back upstairs. They're getting ready to go green.
Kenseth will bring him to the flag. Stewart, Craven, Busch, and Johnson the front 5. Ward-Burton, Nadeau, Earnhardt, Martin, and Newman. Two rookies in the top 10. You see the speed build on Matt Kenseth's car. Here's the green, punches his foot, and watch that meter go.
Climbs in a hurry, 60 miles an hour coming to the green. That's what the pace car brings them down to.
And 500-mile race here, I think it really complements a veteran. You've got to be there to finish.
Already in the middle of turn 1 and 2, 165 miles an hour, over 170 off turn 2.
Bob Labonte is back in the race after spending time in the garage as Kenseth brings them around.
A young driver, he might use all of his stuff up early in the race. The older guys, they know to save a little bit for these 500 milers.
Let's go to the leader's pit, Jeannie.
Hey guys, just before the caution, Robbie Reiser, Kenseth Kruchy said, look out the car and make sure that wasn't us, the reason for the caution. But you guys really have just been blessed this day after changing the engine on a Friday. Did you know it was going to run this well?
Well, it ran real well in Happy Hour yesterday, and we were pretty happy with the car. And we put it away early, just trying to save the engine. This is this one motor rule is tough on his motors, especially here. So trying to save everything we got.
All right, and Jeff was just touching on moments ago. Going to split the difference, just one more stop, correct?
Yeah, pretty much. We'll just split the difference if it goes green to the end. Try to keep the best tires on it here.
All right, Mike Joy.
Thanks, Jeannie. You watch from Tony Stewart, the second place car, 3/10 behind Matt Kenseth, 3/10 up on Kurt Busch. Is that tire debris or is it fluid?
No, it's just debris. A lot of rubber. It's getting later and later in the day. It's right out next to that wall. It gets a lot of buildup out there. Sand, rubber, trash.
Kevin Harvick, a lap down, but running at least as quick as the leaders.
Clear high
Right
if you need
behind
it. Clear
him.
high if you need it.
Battle for position.
Boy, Harvick got loose off turn 2 right there. Look at this battle, 3 wide. Sterling Marlin, Kyle Petty, Mike Skinner in the 4.
Well, you can do that on new tires. You know, everybody's got fairly fresh tires on right now. You kind of control your car, but you can't do that once you get a few laps on and make it.
Rusty Wallace, 18th, last car on the lead lap.
After starting back in 38.
Yes.
He's been up further than that, but back a little bit further back right now. He has been all day. He's been around 13. You can hear him playing with the throttle. Can't quite mat it when he'd like to. Drives her down in there. Now listen how long he lays out of it. Now he's easing into it, just squeezing down into it. Can't get it wide open right there because there's just not enough grip.
Rusty, almost 9,000 down that front straightaway. 190 miles an hour.
Side, clear, clear.
Now, Larry, as you know, as we go into the latter part of the race here, going into turn 1, you're going to be looking right into that sun. The one advantage that guys have today over what we had a few years ago is they got tear-offs on their windshield, so they can keep a pretty good view there, but it gets difficult running through those shadows into turn 1.
Well, you have trash getting on there. You have the sun. They start getting sand blasted, and with a 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time start, about 4 o'clock this afternoon, it gets pretty bad.
Mark Martin, you see right side of your screen, was coming into play as the lead changes. Tony Stewart back up front.
But Matt Kenseth in the 17, he looks like he just moved down. He saw Tony Stewart in the 20 catch him. Why sit there and run side by side and let everybody else catch up to you?
Now, here's Kenseth coming back after him. Remember, in the last run of green flag racing, Stewart moved over and let Kenseth go. We thought there might have been a problem with Stewart's car. Apparently not.
Still hanging outside.
Right now, the problem they have is the 97 car, Kurt Busch, all over the back of him.
Dick Trickle released from the infield care center. He is okay.
And you know, a driver, Junior always used to call me on the radio and say, boy, you ain't laying down on me, are you? About this point in the race is when you kind of like to say, well, I just want to hang in here and make it to the finish. But the spotters and the crew won't let you. Kenseth lets Tony Stewart get up there. They say, hey, what are you doing? Get back around here. Let's go.
Yeah, you still got 100 laps to race here.
They want to lead every inch of every race.
Darrell, if you also remember one thing, too, every time we had the stopwatch on you, the more we talked to you, the faster you'd run. As long as you had a cheerleader in that car with you, you were worth about 3/10 more a lap.
Well, I say it all the time on these telecasts. You can't encourage that driver too much. You can't tell him he's doing a good job too much. You just got to keep encouraging him. It really makes a difference. You got to let him know you believe in him. Whatever he's doing at that time, you believe in him.
That's right. You the man, baby. You the man. Stay up on that wheel. You're making me proud. You're making me proud. I think you've heard that a few times.
Yep.
That line's working good, bud. Keep it up.
My favorite line was, go get him, champ.
Now, Matt Kenseth's spotter just told him that line he's running on the bottom, though different from everybody else, is working well on the stopwatch.
And that's just a product of the adjustments they made to the car. Maybe they made an air pressure wedge or whatever adjustment. If you could run the bottom all day, that'd be the perfect place to be. But after the tires go away, you got to slide around a little bit.
See the fog tracks. Actually, Tony Stewart in the 20s losing a little bit of time. Look at the interval right there. Tony running the high side, Matt Kenseth in the 17 running the low side.
And you remember, then watch, what happened? They called Tony and said, what are you doing? Get down there and run with him.
And that's what he's doing right here through 3 and 4.
You were down there all day. What are you doing up there sliding around the top? Get back down on the bottom.
And wherever Tony goes, Kurt Busch is his shadow.
And right now, he's starting to reel him in a little bit.
Now, here's the deal. You run high on one end and low on the other. Because that's just the difference in the design of the track. Maybe there's a lot of grip up high in 1 and 2. Run down low on the bottom, down in 3 and 4. Tell you. Jeff Gordon, you know, we haven't talked about him all day long. I don't know. Does it look like those flames are getting brighter?
He's running in 12th place right now. He's just been kind of hanging out there about 9th to 15th all day long.
Jerry Nadeau just in front of him at 11th. So Nadeau 11th, Gordon 12th, and they're about 6 seconds off the lead.
Matt Yoakum, what's going on with that 24 car?
Well, Larry Mack, they've been running in the teens pretty much all day. Like you mentioned, currently in the 12th position. Under that last stop, before they pitted, Gordon was telling his crew chief, Robbie Loomis, the car started out loose, and that's why those cars were getting by him so easy. He also mentioned that it feels like his car is actually in a wind tunnel, which I've never been in a wind tunnel before, so I don't know how that feels like. He said it feels like the car is bouncing around a little bit in the wind. They made a 4-tire change, went down on air pressure in the left rear, and also made a track bar adjustment, half a round down.
Now, if Hammond was down there in Jeffy Lube, he could show us his shock absorbers. And what that probably is that low-speed control in the shock absorber is letting that car maybe vibrate a little bit when it's got wind blowing on it.
And this track has a lot of bumps anyhow, so the car don't get that good of a ride. You throw the wind into it, it even makes it worse.
For the lead, 3 of them packed together pretty tightly.
This is good racing. I just know that Tony Stewart, I just keep worried about 97 running into the back of Tony. He runs so close to him that if Tony slips or if Tony happens not to get back in the throttle when he expects him to, I think if I was Tony, I'd do exactly what he's doing right there. Let him slide right in
there.
front of him.
There you go.
Yeah, look who's coming right there. The 4th place car, rookie Jimmy Johnson, is
that's incredible.
Coming right up on him.
And he's got a fast hot rod. Let me tell you, he's as quick as anybody, maybe quicker.
He's running the bottom of the racetrack right now through 3 and 4, and he's catching them.
Bottom suckers.
It'll be a 4-car battle for the lead when we come back. Kenton, Busch, Stewart, and Johnson. 85 laps to go in the MBNA America 500 at Atlanta. Kurt Busch is taking the lead from Matt Kenseth, and Jimmy Johnson is taking 3rd from Tony Stewart. We'll show you the pass for the lead.
Kurt just got back in the gas a lot quicker than Matt did. Got that little bit of momentum, and of course I believe there's probably a little bit of cooperation between the two of them right there. I'll let you go, bud.
Jimmy Johnson has moved past Tony Stewart, putting the rookie in 3rd.
That's an amazing run.
Nice job. I didn't think you do yet. You know that? Got a good hot rod, man. Just trying to be smart here. We'll be fine. We still got a ways to go. Got a long ways to go yet. A long ways, but you're doing a good job. Can you hang in there that long? Yeah, I think we'll be all right. Not gonna fall out of the seat on me, are you? I'll try not to.
Little dry humor.
That right there, that will build a fire on that driver quicker than anything. That's just what I've told you. They used to call me all the time and say, you ain't laying down on me, are you, boy? And I'd say, I'll show you something.
But you know what I'm hearing between Chad Canals, the crew chief, and Jimmy Johnson, and they're only 4 races. I hear chemistry. They got a good relationship. That's what'll keep them running up front.
Well, if I was Jimmy Johnson, I'd be thanking the racing gods that I ended up in the situation he's in. Driving for Rick Henry, got a great sponsor, got a great crew. If he's got any talent, he's going to get a chance to show it.
So we have 2 Fords, a Chevy, and a Pontiac in 4th. Let's go down to that pit and Matt.
Mike, Tony Stewart has dropped back to 4th. Now the head engine builder, Joe Gibbs Racing, Mark Cronquist. Now you've done some work on Tony's teammate, Bobby Labonte's engine. What'd you guys do?
Well, when Spencer got into Bobby there on pit road, he turned the motor. We don't know how much RPM because the tack was buried. So we just came in and there was a broken valve spring, so we just pulled all the rock car, push rod, everything out of the motor, put another valve spring in there just to ride on and keep the valves from dropping down. Took the spark plug out, and now we're riding around on 7 cylinders. So hopefully we can stay above minimum speed just to collect some points.
shades of last year, but it was a different problem with the valve spring last year.
Yeah, we had a manufacturing problem last year with this time here. It was due to that accident on pit road.
He's back out there, Dick Berggren, searching for points.
Well, Dale Earnhardt Jr. is searching for points too. He's also searching for the lead. He came out of that last round of pit stops running in 10th spot. He's worked his way up to 5th. This set of tires is very much to his liking. Not too many laps ago, he came on the radio and said, nobody can touch us. His lap times are not at all dissimilar to what we're seeing the leader put down.
Jimmy Johnson and Matt Kenseth for second.
48 car just steadily on the march.
You've got a driver in his second season in the lead. You've got a rookie driver in second. Talk about young guns. Wow.
This is I can't tell you how tough. This is the toughest race we've run so far this year. 500 miles on this boat. You don't have a lot of straightaway here. Not a lot of time to rest. You're in a turn all the time. Pulling a lot of G's. Even though you lose grip, still a hard day's work.
And of course, the thing we've only had 4 cautions, Jeff, and that don't give anybody time to rest on anything, not a driver or the crew chief or the crew.
No, you're exactly right, Larry. And that's one of the biggest things is when you get into this early in the season. I know that Darrell doesn't like all this working out things, but if the driver's not in good shape, he could fall out of the seat here today.
Let's go to the leader's pit, Steve Burns.
Mike with Jimmy Fennick. Jimmy, you guys seem better on long runs. Tell us about your strategy for the end of the race.
Well, we got to make another pit stop, but right now the long runs are playing in our hand. Let's hopefully this thing can go green the rest of the way. But otherwise, that Rubbermaid Ford course is doing good, and Kurt, he's doing an awesome job.
All right, thanks, Jimmy. And remember, guys, Kurt Busch didn't even qualify for this race in November.
Yeah, here he is leading it. You saw Tony Stewart just take over third from Matt Kenseth.
You know what I like about that? He doesn't have any bad habits. The habits he's got right now are the ones I want to have. Out front and pulling away.
They came down here and tested a couple of weeks ago, and all they worked on for 2 days was long race runs. It's paying off right now.
Sure is.
30 lead changes among 7 drivers. The record for this race, 33 lead changes way back in 1976. Two laps to go. Kurt Busch the leader, Jimmy Johnson, Tony Stewart, Matt Kenseth. If we stay green all the way, there will be one more pit stop. Let's have a look at 15th place Rusty Wallace.
He's not happy. His car's nervous, jumping around, and trying to get under Nadu here, and it cost him actually. Whoa, baby!
Those gloves inside pretty much killed the story.
Baby! Like I said, his car's nervous. Now he's mad.
So there's Wallace, currently 13th. A lot of the over 40 crowd. Sterling Marlin, Terry Labonte right there as well. And
yeah, they're kind of at the top of the second 10.
And our pole sitter, Bill Elliott, who has not led this race. Ryan Newman took the first lap from him. Didn't look back. Elliott currently is in 18th. He's the last car on the lead lap back there with Kyle Petty and Ricky Rudd. Dick Berggren?
Bill's had a couple of problems, one right after another, Mike. The first problem was that he lost a wheel weight. That caused a vibration, cost him some spots, but more importantly, it causes a driver not to have a good feel of the race car. Now, after the adjustments on the last pit stop, Elliott is loose. Very, very loose and just trying to hang on until the next pit round.
A lot of smoke up in turn 4. And a car darting on a pit road is Harvick. But there was a lot of smoke there as he went off into turn 3.
Boy,
and he's in the garage.
Looked like a lot of fluid into that high groove getting in that corner, but everybody seems to be getting through okay. Tony Stewart maybe pushed up more than anybody right there.
Darrell, we talked about it a lot today. We're in that last 100 miles.
The 22 and the 32. There's fluid in that turn, guys. 22 almost hit the wall.
And now caution is out.
Yeah, there's fluid up there. I mean, that car, yeah, there's another car almost in the wall, the 77. Turn 3 down there. Is that going into 3 about middle ways up? I saw a lot of fluid come out of this car, and I'm thinking there's probably quite a bit of fluid in that turn.
Damage to the right side of John Andretti's car. He may have gotten a bit of the wall up there, Darrell. I don't know if he had that previously on the right side. But we're under caution again.
here we are again. We're just fixing to talk about we're getting to that last 100 miles of this race. In fact, the 29 car thought they had a problem yesterday, really debated about changing that motor, and now here in the last 150 miles, we're starting to see a lot of cars make that left-hand turn into the garage area.
Like I told you from the very get-go when we got here, Larry, this is a 500-mile race. I hate to keep hammering on that, but this is a real test for everybody, engines, cars, drivers. Long afternoon here, guys. 4 hours, pretty close to it.
5th caution flag of the day. Now we have 67 laps to go right now. So Larry, could this be the final pit stop?
It very well could be. Again, we're going to have probably about 62 or 63 laps to go. DW, you got to trust me, my friend. Trust me. But when you leave that pit box, I want you to save me a little bit of fuel till we go green flag racing.
Just don't tell me I can't make it.
You can see my notes.
If you just tell me how far I got to go, I'll make it.
We can make it if you just save me a little fuel here under caution.
I got to run good enough. I don't want to, don't want to slow down so much it doesn't do me any good, but I can make it.
Pit road's open. Here they come.
Yes, it will. Everybody for 4 tires and lots of fuel. Jeannie Zelasco.
And here comes the 17 of Matt Kenseth, who was just told on his birthday that they might come up 2 laps short on fuel. So he is conserving as much as he can coming in. Don't want to mess with the car too much. He said it was just a little loose off the corner, but he doesn't want to risk tightening it up, so he's just going to get 4 new tires and see how far he can go from here. Steve?
Well, Jeannie, Kurt Busch told Jimmy Bennett, I want this car just a little bit tighter. They're going to put about a half a pound in that right front tire. Let's go to Matt Yocum.
And Tony Stewart in for 4 tires. They went back to their original settings. The Stewart is going to try to race the 17 off pit road. They did not like, remember he made the air pressure adjustment to the right front. He didn't like it. They put it back today.
Well, Earnhardt Jr. just got beaten off pit road again. No real problem with the stop. They just plain got beat. They didn't have good stops all day. It's just that other people have been a little faster.
Other people being Matt Kenseth and there, Newman and Earnhardt Jr. discuss who got out of the pits first.
Just having a slight disagreement. I think Ryan wanted to be in front, and I think Dale Jr. is saying, now what's that all about, rookie?
If they stay side by side, the NASCAR officials will review the line at the exit of the pits and put them in the proper order.
And they may review the passing procedure.
They have a camera down there, and
they may still. They're not done talking yet, guys. It's called car talk here. Push me out. Will push me again. Look at that. Got a Goodyear right on the door right there.
Little donut as they came off the pit lane. Cosmetic damage.
End of the day, getting close to the end. Tempers getting a little short. Guys getting a little tired. Let's see what happened down here, Larry. Here they come. Junior just runs right him up and says, hey. He just didn't like him running him up the racetrack like that.
And at the line, exiting the pits, Kenseth beating Tony Stewart. Yada, yada, yada.
Jimmy Johnson, the 48. Kurt Busch, the 97. Should be coming here this time.
Here they come. Here they come.
DJ, Craven, Ward Burton, and Junior.
Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Yeah. Well, turn that cap around.
The camera tells the tale.
260 laps are complete. 65 to go in Atlanta. This is NASCAR on Fox.
Just over 60 laps to go in Atlanta. Matt Kenseth on his 30th birthday leading 30-year-old Tony Stewart. Let's look at how it started. Bill Elliott, last pole sitter to actually win a race. That was last year at Homestead on the pole here. But Ryan Newman leading early and led for 15 laps in the race. Kurt Busch led for more than 50 laps. Tony Stewart led for over 100 laps. And there were problems for Bobby Labonte. Dale Earnhardt Jr. also leading. Labonte having trouble here, avoiding activity, whipping around, hitting the wall. Later, engine failure causing problems. And then Dick Trickle at age 60 hitting the wall. Going to the care unit later was okay. Matt Kenseth out battling Kurt Busch, and the young guns putting on a show here. As so far, they have been going at each other throughout the race as we come to you from the Hollywood Hotel last year at the Cracker Barrel Old Country Store 500. We had a terrific finish. Remember one of the young guns then, Kevin Harvick edging out Jeff Gordon. Who knows what we'll see over the final stretch here. Jimmy Johnson also among those battling for the lead here.
Outstanding run right now. Outstanding run by Jimmy Johnson for Hendrick Motorsports. Cannot believe how smooth this young man right here is. Undoubtedly, when he sits down at night and talks to his owner, which is Jeff Gordon, along with Rick Hendrick, he must be really taking it all in because he's doing such a great job. He's checking.
Why didn't you pick him? Why didn't you pick him?
Hey, I'm not done here now. Just be nice up there, Darryl. I believe the kid's got a lot of talent. Like I said before, I really felt like Dale Earnhardt Jr. was going to get the job done today. But, hey, these cats are putting on quite a show, especially Matt Kenseth.
By the way, Jimmy Johnson selected one of People Magazine's sexiest men in the fast lane. Okay? Jeff Hammond was not up for that. He was not eligible. 2 of the last 3 Atlanta Winston Cup races have seen first-time winners. Of course, Harvick and Nadeau, and the Hollywood Hotel is rocking. And so will the finish of this race in Atlanta, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. We're in the Deep South.
Welcome back to NASCAR on Fox, coverage of the MBNA America 500. We're going to go green next time by. Give you a look at where the Koch family of drivers is running as several cars come in and top off the tanks. Tony Stewart up to 2nd, Dale Jarrett 5th, pole sitter Bill Elliott, Kyle Petty and Jeff Burton all in the top 20. And Steve Park, who will return next week, rounding out that group. Jeff Gordon came in a lap ago with Terry Labonte to top off. And here's another group for a last splash of gas, Dick Berggren.
Well, for entertainment value, there is no crew better to listen to than Tony Eury and his driver Dale Earnhardt Jr. Just after that last round of pit stops, Eury came on the radio and said, "Save gas." There was a brief pause, and Earnhardt came on the radio and said, "Oh no, not again. Now I've got the weight of the world on my shoulders. Can anybody else make it?" Eury said, "No, just you. Hit the switch for the extra tank." Jeannie's Alaska.
Oh, yes, that's what Matt Kenseth is searching for right now, I believe, in the glove box, Dick, because he was just told, look, you're going to run out of gas coming out of turn 4 on the final lap, but we're working on it. Matt?
Jeannie, an update on the 48 of Jimmy Johnson. I spoke with his crew chief, Chad Canals. Chad tells me they are probably 4 laps shy of making it the distance on this run. Meanwhile, the other 3 Hendrick cars topped off as we go green.
Matt Kenseth leads them around. Tony Stewart, Jimmy Johnson, Kurt Busch, Dale Jarrett.
Now, a veteran guy got a little experience. He can probably stretch that 2 or 3 laps. But a rookie, he don't know but one thing. Wide open. Put her to the firewall, and if it doesn't make it, that's y'all's problem.
And that's how you would save throttle here. Save fuel here, Darryl. You would roll out the throttle a little early, let that car roll a little longer, pick it up just a little later, just a little bit at each end, but you have to do it for a number of laps. You can't start doing it all at one time.
When you're coming down here and you're right up behind somebody like Dale Jarrett is, right up behind Kurt Busch, just feather up out of it. That draft will suck you along, and you're saving fuel all at the same time.
But one thing you always told me, Darryl Walker, the best way to outrun somebody on fuel is have what?
Have more than they do.
Exactly right, man. You got to be working on that all the time, and you got to know how much you've got. You got to get it all too, though. That's the key. You got to pick up everything in the tank. You're supposed to hold 22 gallons. The key is getting all that 22 gallons out of that fuel station.
Matt Kenseth, 30 years old today. Tony Stewart, 30 years old. Where do they fit on your list, Darryl? Young guns or veterans?
Oh, I don't know. 30 years old is getting, it's kind of getting into the senior citizen category now. Look at Jeff Gordon.
Okay.
He's 30.
Fair enough.
One thing we do need to document, Ricky Rudd, the 28 car, started in 37th. He had just hung on the lead lap all day long, just barely hanging on this last caution. They pitted out of the box. 1 lap penalty now. He's back in 24th, 1 lap down.
Yeah, he had. He'd been really fortunate to be able to stay on the lead lap. So many times he was right on the verge of being a lap, but lost it all right there.
5 cars have fallen out of this race. 1, Dick Trickle, due to a crash. He is okay. 4 cars, though, have had engine trouble and gone to the garage. Still 56 laps to go, not quite 100 miles.
When we talk about saving fuel and all those other things, you got to also, one of the things that you don't want to do on a super speedway like this, Atlanta, you want to let the car coast. Let it coast down into the corner. And if you're going to brake, you don't need to be using that left foot. You need to be using that right foot. Because see, look at him. He's got the gas down and the brake on all at the same time. That will not save fuel. Now, I used to be a left foot braker. And I told Junior one time, he said, you brake that left foot, boy? And I said, I sure do. He said, well, you got to quit doing it. I said, I can't. It's the only way I know how to drive. Came in the track the next day, and Junior put a big piece of plywood right in between them two pedals right there. He said, here, boy, see if you can drive that car now.
And you know, Darrell, what I don't like to see about using brake at a place like this, we've talked about everybody pushing, not turning. The more brake you use, the more heat it builds in those front tires. Heat builds air pressure. More air pressure in the front tires, the car's going to push worse.
Push worse. And you saw that very clearly. He has a little bit of brake and a whole lot of gas.
Kevin Harvick, last year's winner in an emotional victory. This year, he's out of the race. It's with Steve Burns.
Thanks, Mike. Kevin, what happened to Good Red Chevy to put you in the garage?
Something broke in the motor. It just let loose, no signs or anything, and really just kind of sucks, to tell you the truth. We just haven't got it all together here. We left the lug nut off. We got one official in the pits that's enforcing them. Some weeks they do, some weeks they don't, but that's just the way it goes. And we broke.
Kevin, in happy hour, you said you were debating whether or not to change the motor. In hindsight, do you think you should have?
No, I mean, that wasn't the problem. We had a vibration in the rear end gear, and we changed that, and that fixed it. So it looks like we had the same problem on both the 29 and the 30.
See you next week. Thank you.
4 races in, Kevin Harvick has not yet had a top 15 finish. Here's Ryan Newman and Ward Burton battling for 8th.
And I don't care how much you want to talk about it, there was no expectations, nothing to compare to last year when he hopped in that car. Had a great year. This year, a lot of high expectations, and they're not being met.
Sterling Marlin right with them, running in 10th, the Winston Cup point leader.
And that's just pressure, Mike. That's the pressure you feel, trying to fill some big shoes and keep it going. And as I think about that, it could be also the addition of another car. They got 3 cars
And still have the 2 Busch teams going as well.
Busch teams as well, so there's a lot of work going on up there.
Fuel may become an issue. If we stay green, some teams are going to be very close to running out of gas. Matt?
Mike, I talked to Chris Woodward, the engine tuner for Tony Stewart's Pontiac. He told me they are probably 2 laps shy. Stewart trying to win his first race here in Atlanta. Remember, he's on the longest drought, the longest winless streak since he won a Winston Cup race. Now 15 races.
He is right in Kansas tire tracks and now looks high. Jack Roush, Robbie Reiser, they're burning up that calculator, Larry.
And you have to figure so many things into it. If all of a sudden on this run right here, your driver comes on the radio and he says my car's pushing, then it's going to be use more fuel with it pushing.
No, they don't need to do all that. Just listen to Larry. He's got this all figured out. He figures it from the get-go.
Yeah, but look at Tony Stewart. He's not saving gas.
No, he knows he can make it.
Zoom, right to the front.
And if you're short, you're short. There's no sense in conserving. You know you're going to have to come to pit road.
48 laps to go. 7 different leaders now. 31 lead changes, 2 shy of the
we can make it!
Attaboy.
All right, that is a great feeling right there.
Caution is out here at Atlanta. A big puff of smoke from Brett Bodine's car as he rolled off into turn number 3. He has coasted into the garage, and the caution is out.
And pit road will be busy.
That last 100 miles.
And all that strategy out the window.
Yeah. The dreaded smoke out the tailpipe.
Tough day for NASCAR's sole remaining owner-operator, Brett Bodine, who owns as well as drives that car. Here they all come. Jeannie.
Oh, give me some fuel. That's what the 17 team is taking. Even though they knew they could have made it, Jack Roush just went on the radio and said, hey, Matt, the 20's not going to be able to make it, but we can. But as you said, all that out the window, so sure they'll get fuel, and sure they're going to get 4 tires, and then get the heck out of here and finish this race. Steve?
Well, Jeannie, just prior to the caution, I asked the 97 crew if they could make it on gas, and they weren't sure. They'll take 4 tires, no adjustments to Matt Yoko.
No adjustments for the 20 car. Tony Stewart, Chris Spider, Gillen cleans the windshield on the inside and out, and Tony Stewart is gone to finish.
Earnhardt Jr. had a good stop that time. The last one has been the worst of the day. This one was a good, quick stop. It is just what they needed. Genie.
And just what the 17 team did not need. That front left tire got stuck. They had a hard time making the change and lost a lot of time in the pits. That's very disappointing considering the great stops they have had all day.
Hey, whose bunch had a good stop? Terry Labonte was one of the quick cars out. We'll see where he ends up in the order.
Well, I tell you who rolled the dice, changed 2 tires with Ward Burton in that 22 group.
A couple of guys did. Struggle on the left front. For a team that has been flawless. They've been flawless all day at Rockingham. They were great at Las Vegas last week and came at a bad time, boys.
Good job. Guys. Good job, John.
A lot of attaboys in Tony Stewart's pit.
Joe Gibbs right there with them.
boys. Good job.
Yeah.
The way they came off pit road, Ward Burton, Tony Stewart, and Terry Labonte. We'll be right back. 40 laps to go when they come around to get the green flag.
But you should look at the efficiency here. Tony Stewart comes in first, goes out second. Right here, a good stop, 14.8. But now look, Matt Kenseth, Kurt Busch. Look at the difference right here, 48.7. We saw it over there on the pit stop a while ago, but Kurt Busch, a real loser, comes in third and goes out 12th. So both the Roush cars losing on that pit stop.
Not too good.
Ward Burton, Daytona 500 winner, has clear sailing ahead as they get the green. Tony Stewart, Terry Labonte, Earnhardt Jr., Jimmy Johnson, Ricky Craven, Ryan Newman, and point leader Sterling Marlin.
He has clear sailing, but he only has those 2 right side tires. And there's been a lot of guys that can handle 2 tires. Ward Burton's the only one that can. Steve, why did the 97 lose so much ground?
Well, there, Jimmy Fennick told Kurt Busch as he exited pit road, we had a problem with lug nuts on the left rear tire, and that's why they lost so many positions.
Here comes Tony Stewart, 4 fresh tires off turn 4. Ward Burton gonna make that car nice and wide.
Yeah, I don't see no way. There's no way you can hold off that 22 car on 4 tires. Matt, what's going on with the 24?
Well, VW, that team did not want to see that caution come out because remember, he was one of the 3 other Hendrick cars. Jimmy Johnson stayed out, but the 5, 25, and 24 came in the top off. They could have gone the distance. They didn't want to see that caution.
All that strategy for naught. Everybody now has the fuel to go to the checkered flag. Stewart for the lead, inside of Ward Burton.
I don't believe you can hold off those 4 tires on that good a race car. Not for long. I mean, 2 tires obviously can run pretty good, but he can't run good for long.
Dale Earnhardt Jr., that Budweiser car, he's up there with his 4 fresh tires too, all over the back of Tony Stewart at 20.
22's got some giddy up, I tell you that.
Jimmy Johnson coming into the picture on the low side, then Ricky Craven and Ryan Newman.
Needs to slide up right there, can't quite do it. Tony does, can't quite make the move. Boy, I tell you what, the 31 car and the 88 over there off of turn 2, that got exciting.
Ward gets a good run off the corner, though.
Got that high line up there on the outside.
And the high line's a little easier.
Whoa, trouble, turn 2.
Big.
Around goes Johnny Benson, and in the cloud of smoke, cars go spinning.
Bill Elliott, the 9, he's in the inside wall.
Race to the caution. Side by side, it'll be too close for me to call.
20 car.
Ward Burton.
44 got his lap back, but I believe the 20 car on the inside of the head.
Benson moving. I think that was Bill Elliott. He just drove past, stopped against the inside wall. As once Benson got sideways, there's John Andretti. Once Benson got sideways, was smoke everywhere. Boy, and there's Elliott.
They were just really racing. The 31 just about put the 88 up in the wall over off of 2, and then that time somebody did get in. They're all wadded up over it.
Well, they won't be ringing the bell at the pool hall in Dawsonville this afternoon.
No, they won't.
A lot of damage to Johnny Benson's 10 car.
Guess who else is in that wreck? 36.
Schrader?
I think he is. No, I tell you what, it's Andretti's car, that yellow car. It's painted. He's
going to make it back around. So is Jerry Nadeau.
Yeah, Schrader wasn't in it. That's all that yellow car. I thought that was him.
There's Benson up high outside of Andretti.
Over in turn 2.
Just gets loose.
43.
43.
And then tips Nadeau to the wall.
Bill must be coming along here in the smoke. Can't see.
There he is. Just flashing past on the outside.
Yeah.
Back to the inside.
Jerry Nadeau, he got up against the wall enough to get the quarter panel down on the tire.
Oh, he got into the wall hard, Nadeau did.
Darrell, explain. The back end on Andretti's car started to come around, How is it he hit Benson with the front end?
Well, what happens is it comes off the corner, the back end starts to come around, you correct to the right. When the car straightens itself back up, you just no driver's quick enough to keep the car headed back to the left. Or back out to the right. It just wobbles. I hate that sound.
That's not a good sound.
I hate that sound. But the car snaps, Mike. The back end comes out, and you try to steer into it, and it comes back so quickly that it goes right back to the right.
So you use up a lot of racetrack trying to get straightened out.
If you're by,
there's another car there.
If you were by yourself, you might be able to save it. But when there's somebody there, you just shoot right back into them.
One of the pre-race favorites, Jerry Nadeau, aerodynamically challenged after his involvement in that crash. Ward Burton is judged to have beaten Tony Stewart back to the line, but only by an inch or two. We're under caution at Atlanta. We'll be right back.
Welcome back live to Atlanta, closing in on the finish here. The current Winston Cup point standings. Sterling Marlin, these are up to the moment your leader. 6 straight top 10 finishes. And Ward Burton, Daytona 500 winner, currently leading this race in the Busch Series after 3 of 34 races.
You sitting right there, you got former truck champion Jack Sprague leading this, but the veteran Randy Joe in second place, followed by Jason Keller, as well as Michael Waltrip and Greg Biffle.
Craftsman Truck Series sponsored by Sears. Robert Presley out of Asheville, North Carolina, leading Ted Musgrave, and that's after just 1 of the 23 races in the Truck Series. All right, quickly here, let's talk about the stretch run. Just over 100 laps before. We've had 6 cautions, so it's getting tight towards the finish. Why is that happening?
Well, I think it's just because we're here in Atlanta, for one thing. Always have great races, and the finishes are fantastic. And right now, the way things are kind of getting sized up, I don't think we're going to be disappointed at all today, because it's going to be a wild and woolly one. I think we still are in for a lot of action.
33 lead changes, which sets a record for a spring race here in Atlanta. Let's go back upstairs. Mike Joy, Larry McReynolds, and Darrell Waltrip.
16 lead lap cars now, led by Ward Burton. A Dodge hasn't won here since 1977. Tony Stewart, Dale Earnhardt Jr. third, Jimmy Johnson, Ryan Newman, the front 5.
Look at these hot rods. They're going to be down on the inside there. Jeff Burton and Ricky Rudd. Several good cars down the inside trying to get that lap back, which is always complicates matters for the leader.
Craven, Rusty Wallace, Terry Labonte, Marlin, and Busch, the top 10. Then Jarrett, Kyle Petty, Kenseth, Mark Martin, Jeff Gordon, who just stopped for 4 fresh tires at the end of this caution, and Buckshot Jones. Those are the lead lap cars. Here we go.
Green, green, green.
Green, green, green. Get up to speed. Over 60 miles an hour. Start finish line over 100 miles an hour.
Oh, these 800 horsepower, it doesn't take long to get up to 170 miles an hour. By the time you hit high gear, you got it rolling, buddy.
31 laps to go.
Car smoking back here in the middle of 1 and 2.
I think that's Shauna Robinson. It is. She is running 12 laps off the pace in 36th position. Field comes back around with Burton leading. We've tied the record for lead changes in this race, 33.
We're going to have one more.
At least.
Just remember, Ward Burton, he has those 15-lap extra laps on his left side tires with Tony Stewart. He goes to the high side, working the high side.
That's just another thing I love about the tires this year. I mean, last year you couldn't, or 2 years ago, you couldn't get 2 tires. You had to get 4. Now you've got options. You get 2, you get 4, you don't have to get any if you don't want to.
How about this 8-car, Dale Earnhardt Jr.? He's coming to life here. He's final few laps running the bottom of the racetrack.
Johnson 1 second back of the leaders in 4th.
Ward Burton's been working the high side 1 and 2 and go to the bottom and then turn 3 and 4.
I saw another car get up there. I think it's a 97 car slid up in that outside wall off 2 over there. Boy, it's getting tough over there. Dale Jarrett got into the wall over there by the 31 car. I think it's wounded him. I think it's wounded the 97.
What happened to Kurt Busch? Did he get up in the wall?
I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know. That's okay. That's okay.
He has to gather it back up.
Got to get all his stuff knocked off his tires, and he'll be all right.
Bill Elliott's been released from the care center. He is okay after that wreck on the backstretch. John Andretti and Johnny Benson have stayed in the race.
Now, turn 2 has become the trouble spot. Obviously, we've seen that a number of times. Watch the 31 down under the 88. And I believe he hurts this 88 car when he puts it up. 31 gets loose like we saw early. Doesn't give him a lot of room. I don't think he got into it, though. It looked like from earlier that it possibly did, but he lost a lot of ground.
One inside, 10-4, I see it.
Turn 2 gets really slick over there. As later in the day it gets, just lose grip.
Dale Jarrett now 13th. Has been up as high as 6th. But Darrell, if you get sent way up in that loose stuff, at this stage in the race, do your tires get a lot of junk on them and you lose grip for a lap or two?
Yeah, there's so much sand and dirt and rubber up there that you'll sometimes even think you got a flat tire. It takes you several laps for you to get your confidence back.
You know, guys, as I watched the 22 car Ward Burton won the Daytona 500, I talked to Bill Davis Friday morning, and he said, Larry, you know, we never thought winning the Daytona 500 would make us so overconfident. He said, what we've had to do after the last 2 weeks at Rockingham, Las Vegas, is regroup and realize we can't win every race. We just need to be as consistent as we can, and the rest will fall into place.
Well, falling into place right now.
I tell you just set yourself up for a big disappointment. You win one race, here we go, get down there, Tony, dig. Here he comes. He's down underneath him. But boy, I tell you, you lose so much speed when you come off the corner and can't make the pass.
I believe he'll do it going down into turn 1, though.
I think Ward will I think he'll let him go to some degree because I think Ward knows he's got 4 tires and just thinks that he better follow him. He'd be better off.
And that sets a new record for the number of lead changes in this race at 34.
Well, Ward's all over the back of him, though. I tell you, that old Dodge got some ponies under the hood. He ain't done yet. He's going to fight back.
Still out there.
We'll make a race out of it. Larry, would you have thought 2 tires was able to pull that off?
I never would have thought, but if we talked earlier, Ward Burton, he seems to be a type of driver that can really handle 2 right side tires on.
And we saw Dale Jr., he's right where he was last year in this race, right up there fighting for the lead with about 10 or 12 to go. He had a flat tire. Flat tires have plagued him a lot this year. We need to keep an eye on it.
That Budweiser car, he got a run off turn 2 down the bottom of the racetrack. Ward Burton going to fight back on the top side, keep that momentum going.
Oh,
whoa,
Junior.
Boys, whoa.
Oh, man, they touched. Ward did not want to give up that spot.
He's run out of racetrack right now.
Had to let him in or wreck. All right, Junior. You don't have to worry about fuel. You don't have to worry about anything. Just go on up there and take the lead.
The GM cars thus far only one top 5 this season, and right now they're running 1st, 2nd, and 4th.
Kind of quiet in the front, guys, but ooh-hoo. Meanwhile, back here at the ranch, sitting on the front porch swinging with fans, so I'm telling you, we got some action. 24 car, 40 car, 31 car, they're all right in there in a wad.
Somebody told these boys there's less than 20 laps to go.
Got anything left, you better use it. 24 is doing it.
Yeah, Gordon's worked the low side really well and moved up through this pack. Remember, he took on 4 fresh tires right at the end of his caution period.
That's just paying off for him because this is the best he's been all day, by all means.
And imagine that, the end of the race, Jeff Gordon showed up.
Yeah, if you're going to pick a time to be good, now is the time.
He needs to start heating those flames up a little earlier.
Ward Burton has surrendered 3rd to Jimmy Johnson, the rookie.
You got to give a good call to Rusty Wallace, guys. Look at here, he's up in 6th place, right there behind his old teammate.
Started in provisional land, 38 for the 3rd time this year.
I believe that's a 2-tire stop there at the end. I was going to mention that glare going down into turn 1 there. Now that's on the left-hand side of the windshield. You can see over here on the right or on the left side of where the driver looks out. That's the right side of the windshield. I'll get right here in a minute. That's because you got tear-offs on the left side for the driver to be able to see out of it. But if you didn't, see what a mess he'd be in. I get all excited when I get down in the car and start looking out the window.
You'll see it here going into turn 1.
Watch this. See, you can't see a thing right there for a minute. Now, he's not quite that bad off over there on the left side because they got those tear-offs.
And just remember, that's at almost 190 miles an hour, that glare.
Yeah, well, most of us just drive by feel it down there.
Dale Earnhardt Jr., 0.3 of a second behind Tony Stewart. That's about 6 or 7 car lengths. Dick Berggren.
You like the setup that they put underneath that number 8 car this morning was a setup designed specifically to avoid the car getting tight late in the race. They got tight here in the spring. They got tight here in the fall last year. The adjustments that they have made on pit stops were all to avoid getting tight. Guess what? Car's getting tight.
the best laid plans.
I don't think there's any way to stop that, Matt.
Well, DW, before that restart, before Tony Stewart retook the lead, he'd already led 120 laps. Now, if you go back and look at his history, that's more than he's led in the first 10 races of his first 3 seasons, when he only led a total of 98 laps. They felt like Atlanta could have been his Achilles heel, so they came here and tested last fall. In fact, Scott Deal, the car chief, told me they made fuel runs just seeing what the car would do, doing a mock race so that they could try to adjust and get that car in, because they felt like they just couldn't close the deal. And today, Tony Stewart might just close the deal and win his first ever 500-mile race in his career.
Yeah, he's inching away ever so slightly from Dale Jr.
Meanwhile, we had teammates battling for 5th. Rusty Wallace in the 2 goes by teammate Ryan Newman in that 12 car. That was the 5th position.
Tony Stewart looking for his first win on a super speedway, a track a mile or larger, since November of 2000 at Homestead. More than a year.
Boy, Matt Kenseth is fighting his way back in it. Such a bad pit stop. Lost all that track position, but he's inching his way back up toward the top 5. Sitting there right behind Rusty Wallace.
6th place. And the other hometown hero, besides Bill Elliott, Buckshot Jones, who's from Georgia, fought himself back onto the lead lap. He's in the top 15.
Got a lap down, and what he did, he took advantage of having 4 fresh tires versus cars that had 2 right side tires, got his lap back, and now he's up here, as you say, in the 13th position.
You know what? Of course, Ward only took 2 tires as well, so it looks like I started to say that maybe Rusty took 4, but I don't see how he could have, Larry, and been up at 4 in the lineup as he was waiting when he came in the pits.
Kenseth coming underneath Ward Burton. 10 laps to go.
There's 4 tires down underneath those guys.
Down at the bottom, digging.
Right. 10 laps to go. It's been 4 races in Atlanta since the driver who was leading with 10 laps to go ended up winning the race.
Well, there's something wrong right now, because these guys ought to be running side by side coming down here to take the checkered flag. we got to get them tightened up. I hadn't been to a race here lately that they didn't come across here with 2 and 3 wide, seeing who won with a photo finish.
Tony Stewart's running about as high as he has been all day long, keeping that momentum, running even high late on the exit of turn 2.
Boy, that is so tedious. I mean, here it is, 10 to go. You got to keep the speed up, got to drive hard. Junior's looking down underneath. Now he decided he's going to try to drop down, and he chopped a big bunch of that lead away by going low that time.
It was 0.6 of a second. Now it is 0.4 of a second.
Yeah, he made a huge run off of turn 4 there, down low.
Yeah, that last lap, Junior was 2 tenths quicker than Tony Stewart that time.
Maybe he's sitting there. Maybe he's going to sneak up on him.
4th place.
Come on, baby.
Kenseth trying Rusty Wallace.
No question, Kenseth's got by 4 and away the fastest car, but he just lost all that time in the pits. He'd be really disappointed.
Right now he's 4 3/4 seconds behind the leader. The longer he runs beside Rusty Wallace, that's going to get even bigger.
I think the guy that's probably got his work cut out for him, I don't think Dale Jr.'s done with Tony Stewart yet. I think Dale Jr. is just sitting there. I think Jr. knows he can drop that thing down.
Work hard.
Down on that white line.
Craven around the 22 of Ward Burton. That's 6th place.
Leaders are playing. Tony and Dale Jr. are playing cat and mouse right now. One time one's high, one time one's low. They're both searching, trying to be sure that they can protect the lead.
And it's back up to 0.6 of a second.
Tony dropped down in 3 and 4 that time like Dale Jr. did the time before. The spotter is probably telling him what's going on right behind him.
Car owner Joe Gibbs pacing.
Definitely had the best car in Las Vegas last week, and just didn't prevail after that last pit stop. Got back here in traffic. All those cars were fresh tires. Only could get back to 5th.
24 car slowing down, guys. He just started slowing down, going down the back.
Jeff Gordon. About to be passed by Jeremy Mayfield.
He just started slowing, going down the back. He dropped down the inside. I'm sure it's a cylinder.
That's not for position. Mayfield's a lap down. Gordon falls to 11. 16 cars are on the lead lap with 5 to go. And Tony Stewart holding that margin, 0.6 of a second. Trouble, turn 2, 1 car around, down on the apron.
Should not be a caution. Should not be a caution.
It's Jerry Nadeau.
The car's out of the way. There's nothing wrong.
We stay green. We stay green.
Should stayed green. He spun it around and he kept on going.
There are your young guns, Darrell. First, second, third, fourth.
Like I said, late 29s or early 30s. You go figure it out. I never could.
That's prime time, huh?
That's when they're supposed to be at their best. Watch this.
Jerry Nadeau's spin.
He just was up there. Boy, he almost got right in the Joe Nemechek, the 26 car. Looked like he was just so high. Darrell, he got up there in the stuff where you don't run, probably gets on your tires and just comes around.
Picked up some stuff on his tires, Matt.
And Matt, what happened to Jeff Gordon?
Well, Mike, the problem for Jeff Gordon, he came on the radio about 3 laps ago and said, guys, it's starting to lay down. The motor's starting to go bad.
3 laps to go. He's going to try to ride it out as he falls to the tail end of the lead lap.
I think he'll be okay with only 3 to go. As far as finishing goes, really got a car low. Who's that? Oh, that's Navy. He's trying to stay down out of the way.
Yep, he's just trying to make circles right now.
Man, look down there and saw dust flying.
Last time by, 2 to go. Tony Stewart, Dale Earnhardt Jr., their lap time was almost identical. Jr. maybe just a little bit quicker.
Tony Stewart trying to score the 6th win in the last dozen races here for Joe Gibbs Racing.
You know, he had a great car at Daytona and didn't get to show it. He blew up right on the start of the race. Dominated down in Las Vegas. And here he sits looking like he's going to win this race today. Although I got to tell you, I wouldn't. Dale Jr.'s going to dive that thing to the bottom down here with maybe 1 or 2 to go and see if he can't close that gap.
This is it. Final lap. Turn 4. Stewart, the high line. Jr., the low line is coming.
Here he comes.
He cuts the gap in half. But Tony Stewart scores his first super speedway win in over a year.
Pretty dominant little performance there, Larry.
Yes, it was. Dale Earnhardt Jr. for second. But how about that man that finishes third, Jimmy Johnson, and only his 7th Winston Cup start?
It's a great run for him today. And Chad, he didn't fall out of the seat, bud. He stayed up on that wheel for you.
Matt Kenseth from last on the restart to 4th. Ricky Craven.
That shows you how fast that Kenseth was. My goodness, he restarted in about 17th or 18th place. Well, we didn't have a photo finish, but it's pretty exciting.
Had an exciting race.
I had a great race.
Had a record number of lead changes. A team prayer at Joe Gibbs Racing, and let the celebration begin. Rusty Wallace 6th, Ward Burton, Mark Martin from Provisional Land, 2 of them. Sterling Marlin, the point leader, and rookie Ryan Newman, the outside pole sitter.
Who came in here 2nd points, Ryan Newman.
Kurt Busch held on for 11th. Good run for Buckshot Jones, 12th. Jarrett, Labonte, Petty, veterans. Jeff Gordon fading in the finish. Was the last car on the lead lap. Tony Stewart lights him up.
I like Tony Stewart. Joe Gibbs probably likes him a little bit more, but I like Tony Stewart.
After the disappointment at Daytona, falling out of the race with just a couple of laps run, Tony climbed in his car and drove it. Not the race car, drove his car back to North Carolina just to kind of reflect, but they certainly didn't let up. He led the most laps last week in Las Vegas. He led the most laps here today, and he goes to victory lane. Matt?
And Greg Zipadelli, how satisfying to finally beat this place. Not only score your first top 5 here, but to score a win.
No, that's awesome. Thank you to everybody at Joe Gibbs Racing. Home Depot Pontiac was awesome. Guys did a great job. We unloaded. This car was awesome. Yesterday in practice, it was good. Today, we tried to screw it up there in the middle segment. We changed half a pound in the left and half a pound in both rights, and it wasn't any good. We put it right back to where we were last 3 stops, and she come right back to life. So pit stops were awesome. Guys kept us in the game all day, and you know, what more can you ask for? Our first 500-mile win. Everybody's kind of been asking, when are we going to do this? Well, we just did it, and thank you.
Congratulations. Joe Gibbs Racing, back-to-back wins here at Atlanta.
Hey, Mike, 1 Pontiac in the top 20.
Well, but it was in the right spot, Darrell. The Pontiac Wide Track Attack Team congratulates Tony Stewart and the number 20 for his big victory here today at Atlanta. Our Pontiac winning moment is the pass for the win on Ward Burton. Pass it on.
That's textbook.
set them up off turn 4, drive under them going into turn 1, slide up in front of them, and head to victory circle. He's tired. You can see it on his face. It's a hard day's work.
But that's the best kind of tired to be, isn't it, Darrell?
Let me out of this thing.
Just a moment. Here at the MBNA Motor Speedway.
Steve Burns.
All right, thanks, Mike. Tony Stewart's 13th career Winston Cup victory, his first at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Tony, tell us about the keys to victory here at Atlanta.
We just had an awesome car today. I mean, Greg Zippadelli and the whole Home Depot team, we came out here last fall and tested, and we didn't spend 1 minute of any of the 2 days we were here, working on qualifying stuff. We worked strictly on race setups, and this thing drove great all day. I mean, we didn't change hardly anything. It was bad in traffic, but if we could get out front, and we had great pit stops today, the guys did an awesome job on the pit stops, and as long as we got out of the pits, close to the front and could get next to clean air, we could go.
How about the driver? He did a pretty good job. Any close calls today, Tony?
No, they can plug anybody in Greg Zippadelli's cars and win races. I mean, I'm proud of what I do, and I'm proud of my job and happy about what I do, but it's a team effort. I'm just a lucky guy that gets to ride these things on Sunday. We got a good luck charm Bob Nardelli with us today, so all the store associates are going to miss him on Sundays. We're going to make him go to all the races now.
All right, congratulations, Tony. Let's go back to Mike Joy.
Thanks, Steve, and welcome to our Home Depot post-race show here on Fox. Tony Stewart, a winner, a 500-mile race winner. Dick Berggren.
Hey, Earnhardt Jr., there we go. Want to see a nice smile. How about that day?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I knew we was going to have a good time. We always run up front here, and we just ain't been able to be around at the end for some reason or another, but we were today, and congratulations to Tony. He had a great race car. We were just a little bit too tight to catch him at the end.
How does that happen? How did the car tighten up at the end?
Well, being behind him probably wasn't helping a whole lot. When I moved up into a real good line, I thought it was going to catch him. He moved right into it, too. So it's real hard to be able to get the car to turn when somebody's knocking a hole in there in front of you. But I want to congratulate Jimmy Johnson on his best ever. That was a great run by him. A lot of good guys up there running real smart today. It was a lot of fun.
He had a good run. He needed that. To Matt.
Well, Dick, we've caught up with Jimmy Johnson. Dale Jr., congratulations you. And boy, a great day for you and this team.
Oh, this is awesome. This entire team is so young, and to be able to march as we have, we finished 6th in Vegas and now 3rd here. My hat's off to these guys. We've got a young group of guys here at the track and an awesome core group of guys back at home, engine shop, fab shop, inside the race shop with the 48 and the 24. We're missing David Bryant. He's at home sitting on the couch. I hope he's feeling well, and also Ricky Hendrick and Rick Hendrick. This is awesome, man. Just a solid effort from the entire team all day.
Now, you told me you went back to the Hendrick Bank of Knowledge and you looked at data from both Jeff Gordon and Jerry Nadeau's braking points here, and then you felt like it would pay off here for you, and it did.
It sure did, and it really applied in Vegas where I was able to test with Jeff and see it, and then brought it here. It's really carrying over for these big mile and a half. So once again, thanks to everybody. Thank all the Lowe's employee owners. This is awesome.
Well, 6th at Las Vegas and a 3rd here today at Atlanta. Mike?
Great run for the rookie, Matt. We'll show you the running order of finish here. General Motors cars in the first 3 spots. Now, that's a big turnaround.
It really is. I thought the Chevrolets would probably do pretty well here, late in the race particularly, with all the rear downforce they have. I really believe that Larry may not agree, but I think they got the rules pretty equal, actually.
Well, it shows it each week. When we saw the 2 Dodges in the top 10 course, Ward Burton taking the 2 right side tires, making the gamble.
Every make led today of the 4 that compete.
Got to give a call to Kyle Petty. Look at there. He's 15th.
Yep.
And that's a long time since we've seen Kyle's name on the left side of the computer screen.
Right. Well, we're going to pack up and head for Darlington and lead you down to Chris Myers with the Winston Cup standings.
All right, thanks, guys. And Sterling Marlin hanging on to the lead. Ryan Newman 2nd, but Tony Stewart, remember, last at Daytona, but jumping up to 5th. The victory really helps. And Jeff Hammond, I know he is an admitted slow starter. His crew very impressed. Talk about a mature Tony Stewart with the way he handled when things weren't going well. That's allowed him to win and be successful here.
Well, I think you said it very well when we're talking about this victory lane, when he's talking about, hey, anybody can drive a Greg Zippadelli car. And I think that's a hats off to the crew and saying, man, I've got the guys behind me to get the job done. Today he got it done.
Joe Gibbs, for him, a 6th win in Atlanta in the last 12 races here. Tony Stewart, the driver's driver, a guy who loves to drive, whether he was being paid for doing that or not. Back at the Hollywood Hotel, we welcome our Jeannie Zelasco. You see her working the pits, hustling around, and she doesn't know why she's here. We invited her up because she's taking a leave of absence because she is in the motherly way, and she wanted to work as late as she could, but the child is due.
This is about it, yeah, April 30th. 13th, and I wanted to tell you I am not up here because my water broke. Thank
goodness.
You've been gracious enough to say you were going to deliver the baby,
Yeah.
but I won't take you up on that.
Well, no, we have the crew. We all got together and got you a couple of gifts for the child on the way. This is a little NASCAR sweatshirt. You get a shot of that, so hopefully that'll fit. I mean, they take a couple.
I will get an autograph.
Jeannie's going to take a break for a couple of weeks.
We got this right here. This right here was Chris Myers when he was younger, and he donated.
I think he still wears this.
Yeah. I need that one. Oh, come on.
So
for lunch. We were going to get you the. Here, listen.
Great.
This is what you're going to hear a lot of. You're the baby crying.
You know, remarkably, that sounds like the Fox broadcast.
Yeah, that
off air.
Yes,
we go to
I know.
commercials.
Yeah, when they whine about not getting their way.
They whine. Yes, I'm gonna miss you too.
I
saw
never
you
whine.
guys.
We were going to get you a Home Depot gift certificate. That's on the way, hopefully. But congratulations,
thank you so much.
early.
No, you guys, great. Thank
and you'll
you.
be back after.
Wonderful.
We hope, right? You'll come back if.
We'll see what we can get, and I go to baseball. By the way, Major League Baseball on Fox starts June 1st,
Okay.
so that we have got that going on. But I'll see you at Fontana. I'll stop by.
Okay, we'll announce when the child arrives.
Make sure that you do not name that child Daryl Lee, whatever.
That'll never happen.
Don't
But Jeffrey's okay.
No, I don't do that either.
All right.
All right, good luck,
Thanks,
Kitty. And I know
Thank you
the
very
viewers appreciate all your hard work here on Fox. And don't forget, next week the scene shifting to Darlington. General Motors coming in strong here with Tony Stewart winning, and GM has won 14 of the last 15 races here in Atlanta as Tony Stewart, his 13th career Winston Cup victory, and of course one of the favorites to win the Winston Cup Points Championship. As we wind up from Atlanta, there were 8 different leaders, a record for this race, 34 lead changes, 5 engine failures, a point of discussion throughout. All of the amazing Ford, Chevy, Pontiac led at one time or another, but in the end, it was Tony Stewart, the Home Depot car, winning in the backyard of Home Depot. We'll see you in Darlington. Thanks for watching.